and ESPN690.com.
Your Twitter mentions okay?
No, they're not, man. They're
I just hope to one day get to a point where
passionate.
Twitter's like, hey, you might want to turn your notifications off.
Did you really get a thing from Twitter that said you might want to? You're getting a lot of notifications. Want to set up some filters to help control it? That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's about time you tweeted something that was worthwhile.
I don't know. I will say the Happy Gilmore thing was pretty good.
Thank you, man. You didn't see what I tweeted after either. You see that commercial? Oh,
I
you
did.
gotta
I
check
didn't
out that
click on.
commercial.
I saw the commercial with the cat.
Appreciate it, though. Yeah.
Yeah. I did. I kind of was doing something else.
Hey.
I couldn't click
Oh,
on
yeah?
it.
It's 15 seconds long, okay?
Yeah.
And I think you're going to be okay.
Well, then I forgot about it.
That's all good, man. No worries.
I mean, listen.
No worries,
yeah,
man.
I can only follow you so long on Twitter.
I hear you, man.
Wow, I love it, though. We're going to get into what did you tweet that got everybody
I didn't
going?
tweet anything.
Yeah,
Okay,
really.
yeah.
I didn't think. I thought it was pretty
Very
basic.
tame, yeah.
Isn't that the funny thing about social media?
Yeah.
Is that you'll tweet something that is so benign,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it just goes like you have no. I don't tweet to see what people's reactions are going to be. I don't feel like I do. I mean, I don't try to do that. I understand that's part of it sometimes. Like, I mean, sure, we tease the show out and we like people to watch and check it out and find new listeners and viewers and all that stuff. That's just part of the business. But I don't really tweet something to get a reaction, you know? But it's so funny to monitor. Oh, how often do you tweet something? I'm trying to think of something.
Calling people soft, Brent, who complain about the Jaguars commercials during the draft?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just telling you how I feel.
Okay.
You are.
But when you call somebody soft, you're probably going to get a reaction.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's not my motivation. My motivation is just tell you how I feel.
I got you. hey, to each their own, man. Everyone's in their feelings on Twitter. I understand it, man.
But I do think
More
it's
power
funny
to you.
about Twitter is that you'll find you tweet something and you'll be like, I thought that would actually get more reaction in hindsight.
Yeah.
And then you tweet something, you're like, whatever, and bam, it blows up on you. It's like, what are we doing here? And you got to be really careful the way you word things too, you know?
Yeah.
Believe me, I'm the greatest at save as draft. or spending 8 minutes on a tweet just to make sure I don't miss anything.
Yeah.
But then I'm also the greatest at, I got a lot going on right now. Let me get this thing out.
Dude, I'm telling you, you have to abide by the grammar rule. Just imagine that you're texting your grandma, and if you said something you text to your grandma and she's not going to be offended, then tweet it out.
Perfect.
If she's offended, then don't send it out.
That's exactly why I asked
Simple as
for
that.
banana bread recipes yesterday.
Yeah.
Because your Twitter's a different animal.
Hey, listen, I'm not getting anybody upset with me with my tweets.
Listen, Twitter to me has stood the test of time.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen the Instagram. Hey, Kuz, you know this very well because, see, Kuz worked on the digital side of things.
Okay.
And here, right? I mean,
Yeah, did bad enough job that they told me to leave.
Yeah.
and quite honestly, and we bust Kuz's chops a lot.
You better believe it.
But he does a lot of our social media stuff. I mean, it's not like we have a staff of millions here.
No.
We have a staff of about 3.5.
We don't even have a TV in our studio. Of course, we don't have a staff of millions.
So we have a half a TV over here. There's no audio.
Which someday it's quite remarkable what we'll be able to do with a staff of 3.5. But Kuz does a lot of the digital stuff, so he knows this. It's like sometimes, like our company does a lot of research, and companies do a lot of research on it. So one time, like 1 month, it'll be, hey, you got to really, not 1 month, but maybe it's like 6 months worth of Instagram. Got to target Instagram. Got to target Twitter. Got to target Facebook. Hey, this TikTok thing now, right? And they come and go. Well, Twitter has really stood the test of time, you know? And what I've seen, at least
With
in
sports, for sure.
sports, definitely, but I've even seen at least in the TV world, from a news standpoint, like I've seen the ebbs and flows, and it circled back to Twitter probably 2 different times.
Yeah.
To be like, hey, push your stories out, push your story. You know, I mean, just a promotional tool and eyeballs that are different. And that is the one big thing. I mean, I don't know enough about social media to know how different, but there are a lot of people that like watch TV or listen to the radio that are not on social media. Yet our world kind of exists on social media because that's what we're doing almost 24 hours a day. And so we think that is the pulse of everything.
Yeah.
It's still a very small part of the population, but hey, every part of the population counts.
Well, it's the part of the population that's talking, though.
It
right?
is.
Because if you're referring to the older generations who don't have social media, they're not on their, they're not on MySpace or, I don't know, what do old people use?
How old are you?
MySpace. I mean, I can't think
What
of
was
anything
it
else.
before MySpace? There
Friendster? Was there like a Friendster or something?
Friendster. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
started on
MSN Messenger telling all their friends in the retirement communities,
AOL
hey,
chat.
check out ESPN 690. Look what they're talking about today. So you know what, man? I'm not really concerned about those people.
Hey, I did not have a MySpace account. Never happened.
Oh, you're missing out, man.
You did?
Mixmaster 99, baby. Yeah.
Was it fun while it lasted?
It was. I mean, back in the day, it was cool. You get a test. Did you have MySpace?
I HTML'd the background of my MySpace to be Sean Taylor.
There you go. Because you could like add like all these songs and like these kind of wallpaper things.
Yeah, pretty sure
cool.
the Yin Yang Twins were my songs.
Yeah, there you go. Which one?
I have no idea.
Wait, or whatever.
No, it was
song?
a more safe for work song, but I don't remember.
Was that even before Facebook really took off, though?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Right?
man. Yep. You had MSN Messenger. You had AIM, which was like kind of like the preppy version of the Messenger things. Like MSN Messenger was like the grimy stuff, man. That's where it went down.
I was on the AOL Messenger one.
Of course you were.
That's
man.
like the
of course.
That's like the Tinder
Of course you were. Yeah.
Tinder.
Yeah. And then what was the other one? Then MySpace too. So those are like the three big things or whatever. But
I remember when Facebook first came out, I was upset because I wasn't in college, so I couldn't get on it. Like it was a college thing strictly, and I was upset about it.
Yeah.
And then it opened up to everybody.
What's your favorite one? What's
Messenger growing up?
Well, just say of everything, like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. What else would fit on MySpace? Would fit on the platforms?
Yeah, MySpace.
Twitter.
Reddit.
I mean,
Does
there's
Reddit
now
count? Because
TikTok.
Reddit, I would say I find myself spending hours on Reddit if I
really?
actually go down a
I've
rabbit
never
hole.
gone on it.
I don't really know how to use Reddit.
I don't
It's
even know how to use it.
It's
Yeah,
complicated.
It's insane.
is it complicated?
Well, it looks complicated.
Well,
yeah.
it's
just
a
like
weird
a giant
community.
message board.
What's that?
It's just like a giant message board.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never done it.
You start a topic, it essentially like would be our show, right? We put the show topic and then people comment below and the conversations just go and you read along.
Yeah. See,
but it can be anything.
To me, it's Twitter, and it's not even close. I mean, it's Twitter because you can get your news there, you can get your entertainment there. I mean, Twitter or anything for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Twitter to me is it's like it's almost feels radio like without the actual sounds, you know. I mean, well, for us it is.
Yeah.
Like our show is TV, radio, Twitter, you know, social media, digital, all in one. But you get my point. Like when you're watching a game, it's like you're at the bar with all these people, and when you're watching a game or The Last Dance, and I know you don't do that. You told us that yesterday, but it is that forum where you can basically have a drink sitting on the couch and talk to your buddy and tell him, I hate this. I love this. That was great. This was awesome.
Yeah,
but you're right, man. That's where it spreads. And, you know, you have to – that's where news breaks. Like if somebody would ask me where news breaks now, I don't think it's Facebook where it breaks. Now, you might see a link. It's sure, it could break on TV if the time is right. Could break on radio if the time is right. Nothing breaks in the newspaper anymore because nobody waits until that long.
Newspaper.
And so I think where it breaks, wouldn't you say Twitter is the place where it breaks, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And our company, right, like you're talking about the digital side, they used to yell at me all the time for my Twitter because they're like, people like you to be on brand. Like you guys, you talk sports, right? Well, like with mine, I'm ADD, so I'm all over the place. You never know what kind of tweets coming. So they're like, it hurts you. They want, if you're going to talk sports or you're going to talk top 40, only ever do that. But then you'll get a tweet being like, who's got a banana bread recipe?
Yeah, listen, man. Like, if you want,
that's the beauty of it. You can do what you want with it,
right,
news
exactly.
or show personality.
Yeah, if you want breaking news, you want entertainment, Twitter's for you. If you want to see what like your classmates have been up to since high school, then go on Facebook. You know, because you need to go to a high school reunion. And if you want to get in trouble for your significant other, then go on Instagram. I don't know. I don't have TikTok. That's what I heard. Or TikTok.
Something I've been having trouble with though is everybody that I was friends with in high school. All the girls are getting married, so the last names are changing. So these people will pop up on my Facebook, and I'm like, I don't even know who you are, and then I'll click on a photo and be like, oh, you got married, okay.
You don't want to see my Facebook requests right now. How many people I got just waiting in the queue? Because I don't have time. I don't care.
See, I don't use Facebook like that. Like I don't request friends and all that stuff. I don't now. Once in a while, I'll be on there and I'll see like I have some. Oh yeah, okay, sure. I'll confirm if somebody asks. I just don't use it that way. I really like Steph, my wife. She uses She all over Facebook in terms of scrolling down, seeing what's happening. I don't. I'm not on it enough. Now, what I really love about Facebook, I think the best feature of Facebook, and this is why I post stuff on Facebook now, is because I've learned how much I like when the memories come up.
Oh,
like 5 years ago when the kids were 8 and playing ball and we put it on there, you know?
Oh.
Well, yeah, it probably could. But keep in mind, I got married when I was like 15, so there's nothing before that.
You know the friend-anniversary quiz.
Friends on his MySpace page. Check it out. We just got married. Yeah.
But that's my favorite part of Facebook. Like, that's why I'm active on Facebook.
Yeah.
Is because I like the memories. And I know, like, if Facebook still exists in 40 years, to see some of those memories, heck, 20 years, are going to be awesome. Like, we love it. Like, I love going every day on the memories and see what pops up from maybe work-related stuff to the NFL draft, which is happening,
see what's going on.
or just the kids playing in a game that I put up there. That is really the primary reason. And still, actually, the family sometimes will still get on the Facebook stuff. So when you have family out of town, I think it's the best way. But other than that, I have no reason to use Facebook other than kind of our show and spread the message that way.
Well, see, because you haven't made, because Facebook came around when you were in college then, right? It would have been?
No, it had to be later than that. I mean, Facebook isn't 20 years old.
No, probably 50.
I was a senior in high school when it...
09? So I was, 09 was when I graduated high school, and it was already out.
Yeah, so it's like 2006.
I'm going to look up.
But I'm saying, like, I get where you're coming from, the memories, because, like, you know, you were probably already married, like, you were mature, you had your life together. Like me, I go back to my memories, there's a bunch of stuff I said when I was in high school.
I look like
I just did it, and spoiler alert, nothing.
Yeah. I got the Justin.
What's your memories from today?
Seriously?
Oh, boy.
Wait, are we going to get in trouble?
No, I think we're all right. All right. April 30th, 2007. There's two types of people in this world. Those about the business and those not about the business. Me, I'm about the business. April 30th, 2011. So I would have been in the league then. A commitment must be made. A plan must be laid. A price must be paid. Control what you can and forget the rest. Let's get this money.
Yannick Ngakwe?
Hey, let's get this money.
Is this Yannick Ngakwe?
Let's get this money.
Did we steal his Facebook
See,
page?
This is why I don't go on my memories, man. This is why I don't do the memories. That's those are the good ones. That's about it.
That's awesome. Wow, I don't know how we got here again today, but I think this might be a new segment.
While we're here, Austin, can you accept my friend request?
Yeah, totally. I got you, man. I got you.
All right. Hey, what got Austin in trouble? We'll share with that. Not that from that post, but from on the Twitter and some of the responses. And it really has to revolve around Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's released. Does he make sense here? There's a thing about the Andy Dalton conversation which I don't understand. Are people confusing something here or not? We'll talk about it on the other side. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Your thoughts on Andy Dalton, 904-362-9901, *690. You like to see him in a Jags uniform? He's available. Give us a shout. Plus, of course, the latest on Telvin Smith. And I really do want to take a look at that 2017 defense and what did happen individually. Not really why are the Jags not that good on defense anymore. What happened individually to some of those guys? It's really now unbelievable. We'll talk about it all day today here on a Thursday. Thanks for hanging on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Clearing skies, breezy and cooler as we go through the day today. Highs in the lower 80s, nice and cool tonight into clear skies into the low to mid 50s, and sunny and pleasantly warm tomorrow, your Friday high near 80. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
One-to-One Financial is Jacksonville's hometown credit union, and we've been helping people improve their lives and start businesses in this community for more than 85 years, longer than any other local institution. Like our name says, we work one-to-one with everyone, no matter their background, and we offer the best rates on loans and savings accounts, free debt counseling, plus no-cost financial planning. Learn more and join us at one-to-one-fcu.org, federally insured by NCUA.
It's times like these that remind us all of how precious life is and how our love and relationships are what really matter. At Diamonds Direct, we believe this. Your love and well-being are truly our passion. That's why we've decided to temporarily close our showrooms, a decision rooted in caution and compassion. But rest assured, we are still here for you. Diamonds Direct's experts are behind the scenes helping customers 24/7, giving you access via text, live chat, email, or our special customer hotline that you can call anytime. Remote shopping options and expert guidance are always available, and our commitment to serve you is stronger than ever. Please visit diamondsdirect.com for more information or to start a remote shopping appointment. At Diamonds Direct, we're honored to be the symbol of your commitment to each other. And while we wait during this uncertain time, we encourage you to be safe, cautious, and courageous as we look forward to better days ahead. It's still your love, our passion, and nothing can change that. Not now, not ever.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Sometimes a family needs a little help to deal with life stresses. You can contribute to happy, healthy childhoods with a few simple steps. Notice families under stress. Offer a helping hand. Give your time. Talk about healthy child development. Connect a family with resources. Contributing to a great childhood can be as easy as being a good neighbor. For more, preventchildabusefl.org. This message is sponsored by the Ounce of Prevention Fund of Florida, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
The Child Cancer Fund salutes the medical professionals caring for patients on the front lines of pediatric cancer care today and every day. In these uncertain times, the one thing constant is our collective dedication to our community. Your support allows the Child Cancer Fund to provide direct assistance to children and their families who are fighting pediatric cancer. If you're in a position that allows you to give, please know that every gift helps, and 92 cents of every dollar goes directly to Northeast Florida families. Visit childcancerfund.org. That's childcancerfund.org to give today.
J. David Tax Law wants you to know that they are here to help individuals and businesses with tax debt issues during the coronavirus pandemic. Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau. Tax problems can be extremely stressful, especially now. If you owe a tax debt, there are new programs available that can help reduce or eliminate your IRS or sales tax burden. These programs expire on July 15th, so don't wait. Get the help you need with tax debt, payroll taxes, bank levies, wage garnishments, tax liens, and unfiled returns. With a $1 trillion economic stimulus package on the way, the IRS will be collecting an unprecedented amount of tax debt to fund this historic initiative. At J. David Tax Law, only highly experienced tax attorneys will represent you. Never trust your tax situation to anyone you can't walk in and look in the eye. If you have federal or state sales tax debt, have a sit-down with J. David Tax Law. Your first step is a no-cost consultation. Call J. David Tax Law at 904-507-4777 or go to jdavidtaxlaw.com.
Duncan wants you to know that they have your back through this difficult time. They're giving $1.25 million in emergency funding to help families during the COVID-19 crisis. The donation is through the Duncan Joy in Childhood Foundation, a 501c3 founded in 2006 with the mission to provide the simple joys of childhood to kids battling hunger or illness. This funding will allow organizations to help their local communities and get them the nourishment and resources they need during difficult times. Donations like this help support organizations like End 68 Hours of Hunger, who provide meals for at-risk children, take immediate action in their communities during this time of crisis. Any donation, large or small, can help make an immediate difference for people in need. We're all in this together. To see how you can help out, or if you are a nonprofit and would like to apply for a grant, visit Duncan's Joy in Childhood Foundation at joyinchildhoodfoundation.org.
When your car needs service, you want a safe place to go. That place is Arlington Toyota. Here's how Arlington has enhanced safety in their service department to keep you and their team of technicians safe. You can drop off your vehicle and Arlington will give you a solo ride home, so you don't have to wait on site. Arlington will even pick up your vehicle from you and return it free through April 30th. And speaking of sanitized, Arlington is cleaning the steering wheel, center consoles, and gear shift with sanitizing wipes as an added precaution. And if you come in, Arlington has enhanced its cleaning measures using hospital-grade sanitizing products and cleaning high-touch surfaces every hour. They've also increased the space between seats in their lounges and cashier lines to maintain the safe 6-foot distance recommended by the CDC. Oh, and if you need parts, you can order them and pay for them online, and Arlington will deliver them for free until April 30th as well. The service, parts, and collision departments at Arlington Toyota are open, and they've adjusted their hours to best serve you. Get the latest updates or schedule your appointment at arlingtontoyota.com today. And most of all, stay well and know that Arlington is here for you.
If you're usually listening to ESPN 690 in your car, but your boss has you working from home this week, well, take us with you. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Austin Lane from ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jax. Tell Amazon Echo or Google Home, play ESPN 690, and enjoy all that sweet listening coverage.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
5 playoff appearances and 3 Pro Bowl runs for a quarterback in Cincinnati is something worth writing home about. I understand that Andy Dalton's not spectacular, but for Ryan Clark to imply that Brian Hoyer and Jarrett Stidham would be a better quarterback room than Andy Dalton, that makes no sense. Jarrett Stidham is a 4th-round quarterback. If anybody saw that level of production coming from Jarrett Stidham, he never makes it to the 4th round because you don't let a 3-time Pro Bowl quarterback dip to the 4th round. That's insane.
That's Jason Fitz, who joins us on Tuesdays. Also, you can hear him right before our show, 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. First Take Your Take on ESPN 690. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Coos here on a Thursday. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. And the Jags are the gift that keeps on giving here. Thanks for making Andy Dalton a topic. I guess we really should thank Cincinnati Bengals because they finally released him. This was an expected move. Did they have some trade talks? $17 million on a salary? No way the Jags were interested in something like that. And a lot of teams obviously weren't. So instead, they release him. How much money will it cost to get Andy Dalton? Does it make sense for Andy Dalton to come to Jacksonville? Listen, there are 2 spots right now that the dots are being connected around the league. What Fitz was just talking about was the Patriots. They have a room with Hoyer and Stidham. Mm-hmm. Come on. Andy Dalton makes way more sense if you're trying to win games than any of those guys. I mean, Bill Belichick can get on his high horse and think that he can get his dog Nike to play quarterback. Yeah. But Andy Dalton's a way better option at quarterback than either one of those guys right now. And so if the Patriots don't chase Andy Dalton at all, I think I've got a better chance of winning the bet that I have put place than anybody else even thinks. Because I think the Jags. Stidham. What's that?
You're not going to buy in Jarrett Stidham?
No.
But I mean, have you seen anything from Jarrett Stidham?
No, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it from a guy who just hasn't played. And I think they're already deficient on offense. Okay. So First of all, I feel pretty good about my bet. The Jags are going to have a better record as the bet than the Patriots are. Nobody believes, well, a few people believe it, but I believe it. And it's not just throwing it out there. I really believe they will. I believe in part, and nobody will buy this part of it for Bill Belichick. The best thing for the Patriots franchise is to not be that good and maybe land a Trevor Lawrence. And they're in position to not be good. Now, tanking. I'm not saying they're tanking because it's too hard to – I don't like to label teams as tanking anyway. Mm-hmm. But listen, if the Patriots had a top 10 pick with all their draft capital they usually have, they might be able to package some things together and move around or move up or at least land a quarterback. It might not be Trevor Lawrence. They might not be bad enough for that. But to get their next franchise quarterback, they could put themselves in a position. They're not going anywhere this year. It's laughable to me that the Patriots are like 25-1 odds to win a Super Bowl and all that stuff. It's just laughable. They're not going anywhere. I think Bill Belichick knows that. The best way to turn your organization around is to go get the future, and whether it's Lawrence or somebody else. So, to me, it would be a sign that they kind of think that way if they don't get Dalton. Dalton or Newton are 2 of the best. They help you win games way more than the guys that are on that roster. End of story.
I get what you're saying there, but listen, Belichick and the Patriots, they're not going to throw games, man. Okay?
I did not imply they're going to throw games.
They're not going to set themselves up to lose games this year. If that's what you're saying. That's a loser mentality, and you don't win that way. You don't set yourself up for success down the line. Bill Belichick's not about that. I refuse to believe that the New England Patriots are just going to lay over and die so they can get Trevor Lawrence next year in the draft. I refuse to believe it.
That's okay. Listen, the Miami Dolphins, everybody thought were tanking for Tua, and really they weren't. I mean, they ended up winning, 5 games?
They beat the Patriots
at the end.
Yeah. And they still got their guy.
The point is, I think the Patriots are going to be in the bad pile of teams. Mm-hmm. And when you're in the bad pile of teams, you have a chance to move up the draft board and get the next guy. I think they're more apt to be in the bad pile of teams than the good pile of teams, especially if they keep their current quarterback spot.
Yeah.
Now the Patriots do have some cap issues, so in fairness to them. But if the Patriots are seriously looking at their roster and saying Jarrett Stidham or Andy Dalton or Cam Newton and they pick Jarrett Stidham, I mean, come on. Are you telling me they're trying? I just don't buy it. I don't think they're buying. So anyway, that's one of the connections of dots. Now, again, somebody could simply say, well, the Jags were saying Minshew's the guy. Well, he played 12 games last year. Stidham did not. No, we don't know what Stidham can do. So
we don't know what Stidham can do.
Yeah, I'd squash that.
We've seen what Cam Newton can do with some pretty bad receivers. And guess what? Spoiler alert, the Patriots right now, the receivers,
not good.
On paper, intriguing, but real life, not good right now.
Yeah, whoever is playing quarterback, they don't have a ton of weapons. I mean, listen, Tom Brady didn't have a ton of weapons last year.
We saw that.
And they didn't really do much in the draft to help anybody out in that regard. So they did get a couple of tight ends. But so the next connection to the dots is the Jags because of Jay Gruden, the success of Andy Dalton and Jay Gruden. What I'm not following, man, is maybe this is some Jags fans that were coming at you on Twitter a little bit, but also just the conversation. The national conversation, people refuse to believe this franchise wants to see what Minshew has in 2020.
Yep.
They don't want to believe it. They want Cam here. They wanted Jameis Winston here. Now they want Andy Dalton here to compete and all this stuff. And again, I'll speak for you here because I think this is what you've been consistently saying. Minshew's the guy. Minshew's the man in 2020. To me, there's no doubt about it. He's a starting quarterback. He's QB1, and it doesn't matter who's here. I think they want to see what they have in Gardner Minshew. I think he earned that right. So when I say Andy Dalton makes sense here in Jacksonville, I don't mean it from a starting quarterback spot. I mean it more from the Case Keenum kind of position that Cleveland has said to help a guy with an offense, have a veteran presence, and also, by the way, Doug Marrone, I think, has the right to ask for this as well. Say, hey, listen, we don't know fully what we're going to get in Minshew. If he flops in the first month of the season, give me a guy who's made 3 Pro Bowls, played in the league 9 years to try to rescue our season so we can go out there and try to win. I know that sounds outlandish because of the Jags roster and stuff, but that's the way you got to think as a head coach. Give me a viable option. Right now, their viable option is Joshua Dobbs or Jake Luton. That doesn't make me as a head coach, if I'm Doug Marrone, feel so good. One of the reasons I thought he might even vie for Nick Foles to stay on the roster longer than he ended up on the roster. So this, to me, I don't know how you feel about it, but Dalton coming here is not really about competition as much, although you always say it, competition.
That's what he wants to hear.
It's about, hey, come help Minshew along. Be ready to go if he doesn't make it, if he gets hurt. And by the way, Minshew wasn't the most durable guy. He was dinged up last year. He's a smaller guy. He runs around a little bit. He'll take some hits. They need a viable option at the backup spot. So I don't know why people don't like it. Now, dollars, we can talk about that later. How much is it going to cost? Does it make sense from that standpoint? That's fair enough conversation. I just think this makes so much sense for the Jaguars, and I've told you all week long, if the Jaguars end up with Dalton in their room, I feel way better about their QB room than I do right now about their QB room.
So, a few things, right? Where, first of all, I just retweeted something, on Twitter this morning when Andy Dalton got released. And I forgot what exactly my tweet said, but it was along the lines of, listen, if this is indeed the addition for Gardner Minshew to see if he is the guy going forward, then why not give him Andy Dalton? Because it's only going to make him a better quarterback. Gardner Minshew, in my opinion, is a better quarterback with Andy Dalton in the locker room than Andy Dalton not being in the locker room. So, number one, go ahead and throw out, well, does Andy Dalton want to come to Jacksonville? He wants to be a starter someplace. Well, spoiler alert, my sources are telling me that nobody wants to have Andy Dalton as a starter in the NFL. So get that out of your mind right now. Andy Dalton's not going to go to the Chargers or probably even the Patriots and be a starting quarterback, all right? That ship has sailed. So right now, it's in his best interest to go on a team where he might actually have a chance to start down the line, like the Jacksonville Jaguars. I can easily see Gardner Minshew, if he struggles maybe 5-6 games in the season, it's a nightmare. Well, then Andy Dalton, come in and show the world why you're still a starting quarterback, okay? So from that standpoint, Andy Dalton coming to Jacksonville makes a lot of sense. Another point is the money. Okay, Andy Dalton's not going to make $15 to $16 million on a one-year deal. Hate to tell you, if Jameis Winston set the market at $1 million, guess what? Andy Dalton probably making a little more than that, and that's it if he comes to Jacksonville. And it's not my money. It's not your money. It's not Twitter's money that's going to go pay for Andy Dalton. It's Shad Khan's money. So don't worry about, well, it's going to get salary. No, forget the salary cap. There's always money in the banana stand, to quote Arrested Development. Okay, so don't worry about that either.
Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, I'm sure you didn't get where I was going there a little bit. And then, the third thing is, and this is what drives me more crazy than anything. And this is what made me sign off of Twitter, because I got into it a little bit with this guy, right? And I made the mistake, Brent, all right? I maybe got a little emotional because we were going back and forth. And this dude, his Twitter picture, I should have known it was trouble when he's sitting on a stoop with his hands like this, okay? But it's like his hands like this. He's not praying. He's like waiting.
He's getting ready.
He's scheming, right?
He's
and he's
lying
looking right
in
at
wait.
the camera. So he told someone to take that picture. And he's wearing a Golden State Warriors jersey, which makes no sense to talk about a Jaguars topic. Regardless, we got into it a little bit. And his whole thing is, why would Jacksonville stick with Gardner Minshew? Why wouldn't you tank for Trevor Lawrence? Okay? Trevor Lawrence is the guy. Trevor Lawrence this. Trevor Lawrence that. Trevor Lawrence this. Couple things. Number one, you don't tank for anybody, okay? And I'm standing by that, because you're not going to tell the players in the locker room to tank because they don't work like that. You're not going to tell Doug Marrone to tank because his job's on the line. You're not going to tell Dave Caldwell to make decisions so they tank because his job's on the line. And overall, tanking, it's loser mentality, man. I don't want loser mentality in the city of Jacksonville. I want a winning mentality. I don't care what they have on their roster. I don't care how it looks on paper. Go out there and try to win the football game, okay? Because that's what football is all about. Don't try to throw games to get Trevor Lawrence. Because I'm here to tell you, guess what? Trevor Lawrence, yeah, everyone's saying he's going to be the guy going forward. He's going to be the guy going forward. Hey, Brent, here's a fun fact. Out of the past 20 years of the NFL draft, the top quarterback taken every single year in the past 20 years, you know how many of those quarterbacks have won a Super Bowl?
One.
Correct. Eli Manning. In the past 20 years, the top quarterback taken every single year in the NFL draft, only one quarterback out of those 20 has won a Super Bowl, and that's Eli Manning. So who's to say Trevor Lawrence is going to come in here and win the Super Bowl when the stats say that, whoa, not so fast. Okay?
Jags fans in defense might just want a 500 record.
Exactly. Well, and then this comes down to my last point. You know, is people saying, well, Minshew's just kind of he's kind of the placeholder until next year's draft. I don't understand all the demise and all the hate for Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
I really don't understand.
I'm surprised at it.
Right? Because, Brent, go ahead and ask me, do I think Gardner Minshew's going to be the future in Jacksonville? Ask me.
Do you think Gardner Minshew will be the future in Jacksonville?
No idea. Let's find out. You know, like, that's the beauty of this 2020 season, is we're going to find out if he is the man or not. And guess what? He very well may be the man. His numbers showing it. The players in the locker room say it. The analytics say it. You might have something in Jacksonville, but people don't want to see it. You know, like, who are Jaguars fans to sit back and say, oh, well, you know what? I don't think Gardner Minshew's going to be the guy going forward. Let's go after Trevor Lawrence, somebody else, because you know what? We know stellar quarterback play the past decade here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We don't need Gardner Minshew. We need a first-round quarterback. You don't know. So why don't you find out first and then see what you have with Gardner Minshew and go from here? Bring in Andy Dalton, and, man, there is nothing bad that comes of it. The money's going to be cheap. He's going to help Gardner Minshew. Of course, knock on wood, if something catastrophic happens to Minshew, he's a serviceable guy. He's not going to probably win a lot of games, but at least he's serviceable. But at the end of the day, it gives Gardner Minshew the best chance to be successful. And if you're a Jaguars fan, that's what you want right now more than anything.
Listen, I agree with everything you said, man. I hate to do that, too. I mean, I'd like to rip it, but I think you buried something that we'll talk about a little bit later, because I think it's worth bringing up. The more I listen to national folks, heck, even here in Jacksonville, the doubters of Gardner Minshew, the placeholder stuff of Gardner Minshew kind of irks me a little bit. Like, listen, I know I'm a sunshine and rainbows guy, and I get every quarterback situation can be a little pie in the sky, but I'm a little surprised by how many doubters. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But listen, I thought you brought up good points. I just think there's a little bit of, because of the Gardner Minshew stuff, and this is where it ties into Dalton, depending on how you feel about Gardner Minshew, you're almost telling on yourself, which is okay, because then you think, well, I don't want Andy Dalton as my starting quarterback. Well, again, I don't think that's why the Jags are bringing him in here, or would be. I shouldn't say that. We don't know if they're going to, but I wouldn't bring him into for that. No. You know, and you also brought up a good point about the money. Keep in mind, the Jaguars are paying Gardner Minshew like, I don't know, what, $600,000 or something. Maybe it's a little bit more. They have no investment in their quarterback spot.
Yeah.
I mean, if they brought Andy Dalton in and even wanted to give him $7.5 million to back up, that would be
because
cheap.
Guess what? The Bears did you the ultimate favor. The Bears took on Nick Foles' contract.
Now, they do some dead money wrapped up.
But it's not going to go in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the Bears did you a huge favor, so why not bring Dalton in then for the year?
Yeah, and they actually have more than some dead money. They have quite a bit of dead money. But the point is right. Yeah. The actual cash that they're paying for the QB spot is pretty limited right now here in 2020. So, yeah, I just think it makes sense on a lot of levels. I think, here's the other thing about it. I think we think of only Gardner Minshew. I think actually from a young team perspective, in terms of the wide receivers, the new guys, the entire team anyway, young or old, maybe helping out with Jay Gruden's language, the style of coach he is, all those things. A guy that's, suffered through some miserable times in Cincinnati, so he knows how to handle that. Mm-hmm. All those things can add up for the rest of the team, for the rest of the offense, for a young football team too, that might need a little bit of that stabilization and not just rely on the coach. I mean, we know that at least whether it's right or wrong, NFL people believe that experience in a QB room is important.
Experience anywhere is important, regardless
everywhere.
of the position.
But definitely in a QB room,
correct.
Because that's why guys go spend $3-4 million on players that really, quite frankly, can't play anymore. We know that in the NFL, but can at least sit behind someone and help them learn. Mm-hmm. And be available if they needed to in a pinch hit because of that experience. They're not asked to come in. Chad Henne is not a backup quarterback in Kansas City to help lead them to a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. It's just not. Now, Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky, maybe that's a different situation. Now that Jalen Hurts and Doug Peterson and behind Wentz, maybe that becomes a different situation. But they're not, if your quarterback goes down, most likely it's not happening. Foles and Philly were the exception to that a couple of years ago. So it just makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know why people are hating the Dalton stuff. Again, if you're going to tell me that's going to cost $13 million to bring him in, okay, I'm on board. That doesn't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. That's a little foolish. But I don't think it's going to cost that much. If you told me it costs $5, $6, $7 million, I'd be like, oh, whatever, fine, bring them in.
It's not our
I
money,
think it's
man.
better.
Yeah.
Again, just like the draft, where I think you can debate, did they do enough to help Gardner Minshew? Just like free agency, did they do enough to put Gardner Minshew in a successful position? Well, I do agree with you. I think this helps put Gardner Minshew in a successful situation. Twofold. One, you get a veteran quarterback that can help you out. And we know Gardner Minshew learned some things from Nick Foles last year. We know that was a valuable experience because Foles was a pretty good guy in that QB room from everything I can gather. And I think he'll take some of those things that he learned in the NFL in year one with Foles for the rest of his career. Well, you can do the same thing with Dalton, pick his brain as well. And competition is good. Right now, Gardner Minshew is not threatened at all. Do I think Gardner Minshew now won't work his ass off for the next few months getting into the season? No. But do I think that Andy Dalton's kind of pushing you a little bit and played 9 years and made 3 Pro Bowlers and he's on the roster? Might work a little harder. Might make him one extra rep. You know, that stuff can work. We didn't see that with Bortles. He never was pushed to that degree. Mm-hmm. So why not create a little bit of competition, even though my view is 100% Minshew is the guy to start the season.
Well, keep in mind, too, if you're Andy Dalton right now, where do you want to go? Right? Because everyone's saying, oh, go to New England, go to New England. If you're Andy Dalton, do you really want to go to New England right now? Do you really want to play with that offensive, those targets, those receivers who I can't really even name? You got N'Keal Harry. You got, who's the dude from Atlanta? John, what's the guy's name? The slot from Atlanta they traded for. I can't remember. But you got Julian Edelman as well. And then you got some rookie tight ends.
Yeah, Gabriel? No. Who would have been in Atlanta?
Just keep it's going to drive me crazy now.
I asked something else, but let's get Steven on the line. And I got something else about the Dalton front that I looked up today, and it's kind of interesting how we perceive quarterbacks. And Dalton's part of that mix. Now, Dalton had a nice career, remember, 3 Pro Bowls, went to the playoffs a bunch, did not win a playoff game, though, as a second-round QB. More on that in a moment.
Mohamed Sanu, hello.
Oh, Sanu,
there it is. Yeah.
They traded for him.
But my point is, if you're Andy Dalton, where do you want to go right now? Like, if I'm Andy Dalton, I want to go to a spot where, number one, I have a chance of starting, and number two, I want to go where I'm comfortable. All right, I want to go where I have a guy calling the plays that I've had success with before. All right, and that's Gruden. When Gruden was in Cincinnati, Dalton threw 30 touchdowns. So why wouldn't you want to try to replicate that a little bit in a new spot? If I'm Dalton, Jacksonville makes a lot of sense for me too.
It does. Now listen, if you can start anywhere, that makes the most sense.
But it's Andy Dalton. It's probably not going to happen. Right?
You're right.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, if you're given a chance and somebody says, hey, if Bill Belichick says, hey, you're coming in here and you're our guy, and we also would like you to groom Stidham, but we don't think he's ready.
Sure.
But you're our guy. Well, that trumps anything the Jaguars can offer, in my opinion, unless they're going to say the same thing, which they're not.
No, this isn't the Saints, man. This isn't New Orleans Saints situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that's anybody wants to be a starter. I don't care if they were playing with me and Coos at wide receiver. Mm-hmm. They would still rather do it. Keep Steven, hang on the line for one moment because I think you're going to get to defense. Let me just finish this point. The funny thing is perception when it comes to QBs. If I say who's the better quarterback, Boomer Esiason, Andy Dalton, You say unequivocally.
Probably Andy Dalton. I don't know, man.
Oh, you do?
I mean, Boomer Esiason before my time a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
See, I just think if I put a poll out there, I think it would say 99% would say Boomer Esiason.
How many playoffs has Boomer Esiason been to?
Well, Boomer Esiason, I believe, went to a couple playoffs, but he got them to a Super Bowl.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
So, and he had an MVP year in 1988.
Okay,
but I was just,
well, then the answer is Boomer Esiason.
You're right. So humor me, though, a little bit. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but if you measure the career of Esiason, especially in Cincinnati, versus the career of Dalton, there's really one thing that separates it. 2 playoff wins. That was it. He had one 12-4 season, 2 playoff wins. Dalton won more games, threw more touchdowns, completed more passes, threw more yards, threw less interceptions, even though he threw 1,000 more passes than Boomer Esiason. Yet he went to the playoffs. I believe they went like 4 or 5 years in a row and couldn't win.
Yeah.
Just couldn't win a game. In fact, I saw a stat today that said he never threw a pass when the Bengals led in the postseason. So they never got off to a quick start, never were able to win. That was the monkey on Marvin Lewis's back as well. You know, they just couldn't do it, and they finally gave up on Lewis, even though he had success, right? I mean, they brought him to the playoffs all the time, just couldn't do it. So it's funny. I think if you take those 2 wins away in 88, you would almost say, if you ask Bengals fans and you did the numbers and all this stuff,
sure,
Boomer Esiason, because he was a lefty, I think he was a second-round pick as well. He had this, there's something about Boomer that people liked. I think would say Boomer, 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 Boomer. You know, maybe it was even the nickname, Boomer instead of the Red Rifle. But I think Dalton looks like a failure in the NFL as a second-round pick. But he played 9 years, 3 Pro Bowls, made it to the playoffs a bunch of years, holds every record there is in Cincinnati quarterbacking history. Yet he's looked at this failure. Why I feel like Boomer Esiason's looked at this guy like that was borderline Hall of Famer. Yeah. It's not true. Boomer Esiason was not that much better, and maybe not even better from a number standpoint than Andy Dalton, other than the fact that he had this one great year in 88. And you don't discount it, but he had one great year. It just shows you how much it carries. An MVP-type season where they won 2 playoff games because they had a bye and lost in the Super Bowl. They made it to the Super Bowl. And so the perception is he's 10 notches better than Andy Dalton. And I'm not sure that's reality.
Yeah, I mean, obviously going to the Super Bowl is what it's all about. I'm going to say one more thing, about Gardner Minshew here, all right, where I think it's a little ironic, right? Because we celebrate Gardner Minshew for being this jean short wearing, this bandana rocking kind of guy, right? And it's a guy that people in Jacksonville can get behind. But it almost seems like a lot of people out there make him like the flavor of the week. Like, well, there's no way this guy can come out and be the leader of the Jacksonville Jaguars for a decade just because he's shorter in stature. He's not a prototypical quarterback. He doesn't act a certain way. So I think people are like quick to write him off. Just see what you have. Like, yes, there's Gardner Minshew, the folk guy, and there's also Gardner Minshew, the guy on the field, okay? If you want to talk about the guy on the field, everyone in Arizona right now is excited for Kyler Murray. They surrounded him with a lot of pieces. They're pumped up for Kyler Murray. Be excited for Gardner Minshew, man, okay? Not every single team has this kind of optimism right now at the quarterback position. You think Washington's pumped up for Dwayne Haskins right now? You think Washington's going out to buy Dwayne Haskins jerseys? Probably not, man. So if you're in Jacksonville, support Gardner Minshew, be pumped up, and let's see what the guy's got.
Don't bury that, because I want to come back to a little bit more of that in a bit. But we've had Steven hanging on the line. He wants to jump in the conversation. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you guys?
Good.
Doing good, man.
All right, Austin, I recommend putting on a preacher's outfit because you preach beautifully with Gardner Minshew.
Hallelujah, man. I appreciate it. All that.
Yeah, I'm tired of people doubting him too. But my question for the defense is, given what we have and what we got from the draft for that front 7 line and linebackers, how would you set them up? And since we know Todd Wash does a rotational, how would you rotate with those guys?
All right, Steven.
Thanks, Steven. Appreciate it, man.
So,
by the way, this is like $1 million question.
Yeah.
I mean, good luck putting a rotation in for the Jacksonville Jaguars defense.
Yeah.
You know why?
Why is that?
In my opinion, I was thinking about this the other night, so I love the question. How often do they play in 4-3? How often do they play in 3-4? And also, they have the flexibility and the versatility with a lot of these guys to be able to move all around that front, which is an advantage. But go ahead, try to guess how they're going to line them up.
So one thing, though, is Yannick Ngakoue playing? I have to know this.
I think you have to assume right now, because he's on the roster, that Jan's playing. Is that fair?
So he is playing.
Yeah.
Okay. So if Yannick
You cool with
Ngakoue,
that?
I'm cool with that. Yeah. I mean, I'm good either way. I just need to know to say who's going to be starting and who's going to be in the schemes here.
I guess this is a little bit of me saying I think he is going to play in Jacksonville. So I've always had Jan in my mind, at least for like the first half of the season until the trade deadline.
Okay. No, I got you, man. Okay, so if that's the case, then when you're talking base defense, if it was me, I would go with a 3-4 under. I get that's a lot of terminology, but basically it means this. Yannick Ngakoue playing the weak side outside linebacker. Josh Allen playing the strong side linebacker. A combination of either Al Woods or a combination of Avery Jones will be your starting nose technique. And he's going to be shaded. And then your backside 3 technique is going to be Gunter. And then you're probably Gunter with a combination of the guy that they just got from Ohio State.
Hamilton.
Hamilton, thank you very much. And then on the other side, you're going to have Telvin Bryant playing a 5 technique, shaded, not 2 gapping, just 1 gap. So you're going to have Telvin Bryant playing that with some depth there as well. As far as, keep in mind, Brent, that's like 30%, right? When it's pass rushing time, you know how I feel about getting your best talent on the field. Here's what I would do. I would have Yannick Ngakoue, I would have Josh Allen, and I would also have your new guy, Chazon, on the field at the same time, called a NASCAR package. I would have him standing up as a way to confuse the offensive line. I would focus on Josh Allen, getting his rushes more from like games predicated to the center and the guard because he's a bigger guy, he's a stronger guy. You can use his bull rush, and then I would more focus on Yannick Ngakoue and then Chazon on the outside with their speed, to speed power. So that's what I would do. And then obviously the odd man out or like the 3 technique in that scheme could be Telvin Bryant, it could be Smoot, it could be whoever you want. It could be Gunter as well, depending who the best 3 technique rusher is out of that group.
So is that easy for Todd Wash to figure out, or do you think he has challenges getting guys on the field? That's the thing. How much will they play? There's a lot of talk coming out of last year. Josh Allen, why didn't you play him more? Why didn't you play him more? Well, listen, there's also something to be said for freshness. I don't know if you feel that way. He didn't play enough. Should they have got him on the field more? Mm-hmm. In hindsight now with 10.5 sacks, will they do that more this year? I honestly don't know enough about it to know how much is at their optimum of playing. I do know if Calais Campbell had come back, they would have really tried to lower his snaps to try to get the most out of a guy who's going to be 34 years old. That made a lot of sense to me. But how do you get those best players on the field? That's your job. And you can make the case that Josh Allen is one of the best players on their defense, and yet only on the field, I want to say, some 40% of the snaps in 2019.
Yeah, I mean, going forward, Josh Allen, regardless of Yannick Ngakoue is playing or not, Josh Allen's going to be your strong side linebacker in terms of a 3-4 defense because he's the biggest one. One could say he's probably the strongest guy as well. So with that being said, he's on the field at all times as far as I'm concerned. Now, you can do a little rotational thing with Ngakoue, and Chazon because I think they're kind of built the same way. I think they kind of have the same style of pass rush. So the other side, you rotate them there as well. And if worse comes to worse and Josh Allen needs a breather, I have no problem taking him out and putting Yannick Ngakoue in his spot as well.
Are all defenses this flexible, or did the Jaguars go get guys intentionally that can play? I mean, Gunter comes to mind. Mm-hmm. I think he has the ability to be pretty good in both spots. Now, I say pretty good. I'm not talking about all pro and Pro Bowl. The beauty of Calais Campbell, really the undertold story about Calais Campbell, is if you go back to 2017, he made All-Pro at 2 different positions. Yeah. I mean, that's how good the guy was. And so you want some level of that flexibility and still be good. You don't want to just throw a guy in the spot. We've seen what happened before with Telvin Bryant on that front. So I believe they think Gunter can be, again, I use my bar graph. If Calais Campbell was playing at a level of a 10 the last few years, he might be a 6, quite frankly. But at least it closes the gap to having nobody in those spots. Yeah. So he strikes me as maybe one of the most flexible guys the Jaguars could really mess around with this year, moving him around for the contract they gave him.
So here's where we're at, Brent, right? The reason I was so adamant even last year when Josh Allen got drafted about running a 3-4 defense because it says one thing. It puts your best players on the field at the same time. Right now, we can say our best defensive linemen are Yannick Ngakoue, Josh Allen, and probably Chazon, right? So with that being said, I want to get them on the field as much as possible. So that's where the 3-4 defense comes into place. Now, if you analyze what, Dave Caldwell's done of the guys that they brought in, realistically, if they were to run a 3-4 under, which I want them to do, literally the only guy who's going to kind of be playing out of position is Telvin Bryant, right? Because we've talked about Gunter has played the system before, okay? Al Woods has played the system, but essentially he's playing just like a regular base nose technique.
Gunter's playing that
Jones,
two gap.
Yeah, Avery Jones playing single gap. Telvin Bryant still playing single, but he's playing that 5 technique, that big end technique, which he had some problems with last year. So literally the only guy you're essentially telling to maybe play out of position a little bit is Telvin Bryant, okay? And keep in mind, the guy that you drafted this year, Devon Hamilton, has played 2-gap technique before as well. So right now, the way the defensive line looks, it's like, I mean, this is tailored for them, especially because Josh Allen plays standing up. Yannick Ngakoue has played standing up, and Chazon, he's used to playing 3-4.
Can they do more with Chazon than we think, or that we anticipate? We think about him as a pass rusher. But if you read on him coming out of the draft, once the Jags drafted him, he can drop back in coverage. Oh, he's actually better against the run than like Jan would be characterized as better against the run. So my point is, can you get him in on those early downs and use him more than we're thinking just in these packages? And at least my mentality is, okay, 3rd down, here we go, put all those guys in.
Don't get it twisted, okay? You're going to have him dropping back into coverage for sure, right? Because the beauty of a 3-4 defense and why teams, why was all the rage back when I was coming out in 2010? Like when I was coming and get drafted in 2010, I weighed 275 pounds, and I worked out as a linebacker because an outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense is where it's at. It's where you make your money because you have to do so many things, right? And it's all about confusion. So to say, could Chazon drop back in with like a 3-4 under defense? Absolutely. I would almost preach that he has to because it's all about confusion because this is where Miles Jack comes into play. This is where you blitz Miles Jack and you drop the outside linebacker back in coverage, So whether it's Miles Jack, whether it's Josh Allen, whether it's Chazon, whether it's Yannick Ngakoue, they will be having coverage responsibilities. It's just it's the way of the 3-4 defense.
See, this is the one thing I think a lot of people put focus on, like the character. Here's what I sub out sometimes for high character guys, IQ. Mm-hmm. And the biggest change, in my opinion, that could come from the Jaguars defense is to go from simplistic to the ability to disguise. See, the scheme is not meant to disguise. The scheme is meant to play fast and play simple and use your athletes. Mm-hmm. Well, the Jaguars also, because of that, everybody knows what they're doing, And so you don't mess around with anybody, The mind, the things that you want quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, to think about, you're not doing. So now, to me, what the Jaguars have done is they got fast, right? They're fast on defense. Look at some of the times that these guys have run. They're fast.
Correct.
They got beefier up front to be able to stop the run. They want to do that. But their third element of this, and I think it got construed as good character, and I understand they don't want drama. There's something to that. But to me, a lot of those guys usually have high IQ. Yeah. Think about the good character players that you would say. And I'm not saying you can't be good character and not be smart and savvy. I don't think it's either or. But I'm just thinking of the character guys that pop out in your mind, the Puzzes of the world, the Calais Campbells of the world. Those guys were high IQ guys now.
Yeah. Well, and you made a great point, Brent. Speaking of the defense or team's game plan for him, you're absolutely right there, right? If I was an offensive coordinator getting ready to play the Jacksonville Jaguars last year, and I knew that they had a big end and they had a weak side end, do you know what I would do? I would line up to the big end. I would shift to the weekend, all my strength to the weekend, and now all of a sudden the weekend has to play the big end responsibilities. It's as simple as that. This is why San Francisco saw that and switched up their defense. This is why San Francisco, who came from the Jacksonville Jaguars philosophy a little bit of running that big end technique, this is why they went to a wide 9 technique, because there shouldn't be a strong side and a weak side on a defense, because those can be exploited. You want to be even on each side, so that way offenses can't be like, oh, we're going to attack here, we're going to attack here. We don't know where to attack. You keep the offenses guessing a little bit. That's what the Jaguars need to do this season.
Hey, when we come back, the latest on the Telvin Smith situation, we take a look at his career, where it's gone now, and also a little deeper look at that 2007 team. It's next. 2017 team. It's next on ESPN 690.
Golick and Wingo.
Jason Fitz in for Trey with Mike Golick Jr. A new Mel Kiper Jr. mock draft.
You're hearing Detroit talk about trading Darius Slay. All of a sudden, all the rumor mills start to churn now, boy.
Golick and Wingo, weekdays at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Tire Outlet, the local name in tires that you know and trust, is now offering mobile installation. Tire Outlet mobile installation is safe, no hassle, quick, and same day at your home or office. A Tire Outlet professional will bring and install your tires right on site while staying safely distanced. The only thing easier than getting new tires with mobile installation is making the appointment. Call 904-600-0089 to reserve an appointment. Tire Outlet is part of the First Coast community and is in this with you.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Sometimes a family needs a little help to deal with life stresses. You can contribute to happy, healthy childhoods with a few simple steps. Notice families under stress. Offer a helping hand. Give your time. Talk about healthy child development. Connect a family with resources. Contributing to a great childhood can be as easy as being a good neighbor. For more, preventchildabusefl.org. This message is sponsored by the Ounce of Prevention Fund of Florida, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
The Child Cancer Fund salutes the medical professionals caring for patients on the front lines of pediatric cancer care today and every day. In these uncertain times, the one thing constant is our collective dedication to our community. Your support allows the Child Cancer Fund to provide direct assistance to children and their families who are fighting pediatric cancer. If you're in a position that allows you to give, please know that every gift helps, and 92 cents of every dollar goes directly to Northeast Florida families. Visit childcancerfund.org. That's childcancerfund.org to give today.
These days, the whole world is on the internet 24/7, on their phones, at work, even at the dinner table. It's the internet all the time. So why, when it's time to sell your home, does your traditional agent charge you 6% to list it on the MLS to other agents instead of targeting buyers directly online? That's why Rex was born. For a fee starting at 2%, Rex sells your home where buyers are looking, online, optimized by data-driven marketing, not the MLS. To get started, visit sellwithrex.com. That's sellwithrex.com. With Rex, selling or buying a home has never been easier. Price your home, get a virtual consultation, visit online open houses and showings, all from the comfort of your home with a few clicks of a button. Want to learn more? Visit sellwithrex.com or just use your phone and call 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-739-4663. License number CQ1057788. Minimum fee may apply. Rex fully supports the principles of the Fair Housing Act and Equal Opportunity Act.
When you think about your AC system, do you think cool, clean, efficient air? Or maintenance, costly repairs, filters, refrigerant, wear and tear from our extreme Jacksonville temperatures, year-round humidity, and salty air? You know that most of the time, AC ownership is anything but stress-free. That's why Wakehoff's AC offers stress-free AC ownership. For a low monthly cost, starting at just $100 per month, you get a brand new efficient AC system with a smart thermostat. All of your repairs are covered with both parts and labor at no charge. Wakehoff's is going to conduct all your maintenance visits for free, keeping your system running cool, efficient, and clean. And they'll even take care of all your filters. Starting at just $100 per month or just $155 a month for the highest performing system. Imagine a brand new efficient system. No cost repairs, no cost maintenance, no cost filters, no stress. It's the stress-free AC program from Wakehoff's. Call them today, 880-5525 or wakehoffsac.com.
It's time to get out there and make one-to-one contact. Yep, that's what we said. Make contact with the right potential employees. If you're a hiring manager or run your own business, this is the time to reimagine your workforce. It's time to build that talent pipeline you've never had time to focus on building. Career Builder can help you match your business needs with over 140 job seeker profiles. These are proactive job seekers who have the time to research and care about your company and its culture. And when you're ready to hit reboot, Career Builder will help you staff up more quickly with a 98% match rate, meaning Career Builder matches your open roles with vetted, qualified candidates right to your inbox. Visit hiring.careerbuilder.com to view our products, post a job, get insider advice, and let our technology connect you to top talent. Now, more than ever, we're working to support the mainstream American workforce and to help you rebuild fast. Visit hiring.careerbuilder.com. Career Builder, we're building for you.
Every home has things it needs, things that need to be maintained, fixed, or replaced. The Home Depot is here to help you get it done. You can easily find what you need on our app, order it online with the push of a button, and have it brought to your door with free delivery on over 1 million items. We have the essentials you need, the online know-how you may need to do it yourself, and low prices that make it all possible. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
It's time for some straight talk. The big wireless carriers try to wow you with big deals, but the savings are very little. With Straight Talk Wireless, you get the exact same network as the big guys while saving up to 50%. Right now, you can get the unlimited plan with up to 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G for just $45 a month. No contract, no mystery fees, all with nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable networks. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
I guess the thought would be, what if New England wants him or what if Jacksonville wants him? Because you can say the same thing now about Andy Dalton. How would Andy Dalton? Because right now it's Brian Hoyer who knows the system in New England. But I think people would say, if you could have Andy Dalton or Cam Newton, would you take them as if they had to be a backup? Then certainly now in Jacksonville, who's the OC there now? Jay Gruden. Where was he? In Cincinnati. Where was Andy Dalton? So, what could that be a fit there as well? We keep looking at Jacksonville. I would be stunned if Jacksonville didn't have one of these quarterbacks by the start of the season.
Stunned? That was Mike Golick this morning. Not Action Sports Jax, but on Golick and Wingo on ESPN 690, 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. every morning, Monday through Friday. I don't think stunned is the word. I first of all, they're not. Cam Newton's not in Jacksonville. I mean, I feel confident in saying that. And nobody's told me that. I'm telling you, Cam Newton's not in Jacksonville. I don't see it happening. Do you?
No. Once again, we're not buying a Gardner Minshew, man.
No, I get it, but I'm just saying, even on a backup level, Cam Newton's not here in Jacksonville.
No.
Well, because there's a couple of things with Cam. One is health, but two, I still think you question whether he can handle a backup role. Mm-hmm. Andy Dalton had to handle it last year.
Well,
a little bit.
Exactly. I mean, let's say Cam Newton changes his his Instagram font, makes me happy, and he comes to Jacksonville. Okay. And
first question to the presser.
I can't wait. I swear if he comes. So what's up with that? Yeah, what's up with that Instagram font? There, Cam. Okay. So if Cam Newton comes to Jacksonville, okay, and let's say he's the best guy in the room of all time. He's the best backup quarterback ever. And you know what? Maybe Minshew doesn't play well, and Cam Newton goes in. Well, number one, you're not going to sign Cam Newton to a multi-year deal. It's going to be a one-year deal, probably incentive-based. Okay, so let's say you do that. Let's say you bring Cam Newton in for a one-year deal. He takes over Gardner Minshew's spot. And knowing what we know right now with Cam Newton, I don't see Cam Newton coming out and winning 7-8 games. Okay? Just don't do it. Especially with what the Jacksonville Jaguars have right now. Yes, the receivers are decent. Carolina had some decent receivers. Cam Newton, is he 100%? We don't really know with that Liz Frank. So I'm going to say, in a perfect world, Gardner Minshew goes out week 3, week 4. Cam Newton comes in, wins about 4 games. The Jaguars probably win 6-7 games overall. You mean to tell me that Cam Newton is now going to be your quarterback going forward? You mean to tell me that you're going to have Cam Newton on a re-up deal where it's like, well, you know what? The guy won like 4 or 5 games for us, so let's go ahead and sign Cam Newton to that multi-year deal, give him some big bucks? No. Then you're going to go address it in the 2021 NFL draft at the quarterback position, and Cam Newton will probably not be here anymore. So to me, it doesn't make any sense to bring a guy like Cam Newton in who's going to be a lot more expensive than a couple $1 million, I feel like, for a one-year rental. No sense.
Yeah, I don't get it on a lot of different levels. Andy Dalton makes so much more sense from that standpoint than me, but I still don't know. I mean, Andy Dalton could be a Patriot And if that happens, then I still don't think Cam Newton's coming here. So I disagree with Golick and what he's saying, basically, that he'd be stunned if neither one of them here. Do I think it makes sense? Absolutely. Do I think it happens? I don't know. Again, the dollars do come into play sooner or later. And the player gets the chance to also say where they want to go, right? Now, sooner or later, listen, there's a lot of guys out there. It'd be interesting to look. The quarterbacks out there, the running backs out there, the resumes out there still in free agency. If you want to include Jadeveon Clowney as well, pretty strong. I mean, you could create a 33rd team in the NFL with what's out there in free agency and feel pretty good.
For sure.
At least based off, like, resumes.
I mean, and keep in mind, if you're Cam Newton, like, do you want to come to Jacksonville? Like, I guess it gives you a chance to showcase your skills. And I get that. But, like, to me, like, I can see obviously Cam Newton not going to go on the Chargers anymore, right? Because they have their guy of the future in Herbert. But I can see, like, a Buffalo Bills, right? Where you have Josh Allen, you have Matt Barkley as a backup. Well, to me, Cam Newton has shades of Josh Allen-esque, I guess you would say, right? Where they're kind of that dual threat guy. You can kind of run the offense through them a little bit with their legs as well. So if you're the Buffalo Bills, want to get Cam Newton as a backup.
McDermott, obviously.
Exactly. I mean, that makes a lot more sense to me than the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It does. That's a really good point. Yeah. I wasn't really thinking Buffalo with them, but I really thought about Cam that much. I haven't thought about Cam Newton that much because I don't think he's coming here.
Yeah.
And the other thing, here's the thing. If you were going to get Cam Newton, and quite frankly, even if you were going to get Andy Dalton for a role that you thought was bigger than a backup, to me, you would have done that already. Because you want to go into the draft kind of knowing what you have. Now, you're building this roster and all that. That's the other thing. Look at the names on the roster. Look at the ages on the roster. Look at the history on the roster. Tell me where Cam Newton makes any sense on what the Jaguars have done with every move they've made in the last 6 to 8 weeks. It doesn't. That's why he's off my mind. He's just not even on my radar. I mean, now, hey, Golick, I'll be stunned if Cam Newton ends up here. Not if he doesn't, but if he does.
Brent's going to put a house on it.
I mean, I will be stunned.
Yeah.
Now, Dalton, again, all those things make sense. I mean, the Dalton stuff makes a lot of sense. Money certainly will come into it. We're going to talk more about the Minshew stuff because you hit on something. You hit on a nerve that I actually was thinking about, too. So I'm glad you brought up with the more Minshew related. Okay. But before we do that, I feel like we got to get to Telvin Smith here a little bit on a Thursday. And the story broke during our show. Yesterday, we were kind of dancing around it a little bit until the official news came out, and later in the show it did. We had John Phillips on to explain a little bit about it. What happened after our show between last night and now? Two things: he was released, $50,000 bond, so he's no longer in jail, and now the whole legal procedures start to take place in terms of trials, or could you get to a settlement at some point? I would assume all those kind of things, right?
And did you see who the bounty guy was that bailed him out?
No, I think that was that somebody fake? Just guessed. I think that was just fake. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I saw it. Well, I will say this: what they said there, that wasn't on Twitter, wasn't matching what's said in the paperwork.
Gotcha.
That I saw go through the emails. Okay. Now maybe there's more to it. I don't know the bonds folks in Jacksonville, so I haven't had to experience that yet. So
knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
But here's to stay on serious about the Telvin Smith stuff. The police report, like Action News Jax was able to obtain, and CBS 47, Fox 30, which, by the way, is on right now, 4 o'clock show, and then you can catch it at 5 as well. And also, I think we had on WOKV 104.5 earlier today, and it goes into detail about the case. That's what happens in this situation. And so it's not a good situation, by the way, for Telvin Smith. Obviously, criminal activity, sexual activity, with certain minors is the actual label of the situation. They met at a shopping center, back in like August of last year. They went back to his house, had sexual relationships as well. And even at one point in time there was like money exchanged from Telvin Smith to this underage girl. So those are some of the details without getting into all the details. I think you can probably by now go find all of the details if you really feel the need to. That's the case. I mean, he's not in a good situation here. And obviously, I think you have to have respect and thoughts, too, for the victim in this case as well. And where does it go? Well, we would just be guessing, and I'm not going to do that from here. The one thought that crossed my mind is this is a guy who gave up football last year. And again, I think it's worth mentioning. I mean, he had really, I bring up $10 million last year. I think he had close to $30 million on his entire deal that he was basically walking away from. Now, could he have come back and grabbed the back end of that? Maybe. But there were no signs of Telvin Smith playing football even this year. Nothing. I mean, there were no signs. He was going to sit out this year, too. So if he was going to come out of retirement, it would probably be in 2021 if this stuff didn't even happen. And who knows what happens with his legal situation from here. But this is what crossed my mind. The date of this activity was August 31st, the evening of August 31st into September 1st. If he does not stop playing football, he's in a hotel and training camp. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they would have been out by then, but you get my point. He's in a football season. And somebody did say to me, time and money, not a very good formula, for most people, and I'm not saying this stuff doesn't happen if Telvin Smith didn't retire, but it did strike me to say, wow, it's happened like right at the start of what would have been a football season for Telvin Smith.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and go on a rant asking for sympathy, or I'm not going to put out a sob story about, like how people should feel bad for football players because they really shouldn't, right? You're playing a game and you make a lot of money for it. That's awesome. A lot of people would trade that for anything. But when I say that, when players walk away from the game, and keep in mind, when you walk away from the game, Brent, you're walking away from a game since you were in high school, everything is structured. Okay, you be here at a certain time. You show up at a certain time. You do things a certain way. You're around your teammates. You're around your brothers, and that starts, that's really ingrained in Pop Warner to high school, and then obviously college. It gets umped up to the nth degree. And then, to the pros, obviously, it's like it's a new animal. So you think about that. You think about just your whole life is structured around older guys telling you where to be at a certain time, how to do things, and you have to abide by those rules. You have to abide by those laws put in place by the hierarchy, or you're not going to play anymore, okay? So guys, for the most part, they abide by the rules. The problem is, though, is when that structure is taken away, and when the game of football is no more, whether you retire, whether you get hurt and it's over, or whether like Telvin Smith, you just chose, you know what, I'm walking away from it. The problem is when you do that, and we don't have that structure anymore, man, it's problematic, okay? And I'm not going to name any names, but I've had various conversations, man, a lot of conversations with former teammates, former guys in the league who are lost, who do not know what to do, who are just literally just out there in the world right now, going through the motions, depressed because that structure is gone, and they feel like no one has their back. Once again, not going to say who it is. That's not my job to do, but I'm just saying it's out there, okay? So with Telvin Smith, was this a result of that? I'm not going to say wholeheartedly yes, but I think it's got something to do with it, man. Okay? I think that when you take away the structure, when you have all the money that you have, and you have the free time, and you're used to living in a lifestyle that has afforded you a lot of things, when you lose that structure, man, it can be a recipe for disaster. And I think Telvin Smith right now is a prime example of that. I think he's Exhibit A of that. And that comes down to guys just having a plan when the game's done.
Yeah, and we might not find out, and maybe never, but I think we will at some point down the road. It's 10, 15, 20 years. Why he made the decision to walk away from football, because it's not like football left him. He decided to leave football, leave that structure, go out into this situation. And he made that decision. And by the way, that's a separate thing from what is now happening. But the result, the cause and effect here, down the road, and I guess to your point, would be from the time he retired in May to now what's transpired, which is less than a year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if there's a little cause and effect in how that happened.
Of course, and once again, I'm not asking for sympathy whatsoever.
He doesn't deserve sympathy.
No, but for anybody. The NFL players, that we all sign up for this, and we're lucky to have that job for as long as we can. But like you said, he chose to walk away, Brent, all right? 9 times out of 10, you don't leave the league on your own terms. 9 times out of 10, you have an old coach that tells you, you know what? You're too old, you can't play anymore, and you got to accept that, all right? So guys don't have a plan after it because they don't ever see it coming. Telvin Smith, you could argue, saw it coming, right? Like, this plan was predetermined. Like, he knew he was walking away from the game of football. But once again, you have to wonder, when he's sitting at home on his couch, not having the game of football there, not having that structure where he's like, man, I might have made a mistake. I can't go back on it now. You know, I got to stick with my decision, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah. Interesting on Telvin Smith. I'm going to ask you something about Telvin in a minute. But before I do that, I've really thought a lot today, and I know we've done this before, and kind of in passing, people just say, man, look at the Jags compared to that 2017 defense, you know? What happened? Last year, they gave up 200-plus yards a game. Jalen Ramsey's gone. Jan wants to be gone, all this stuff. I think it's worth just kind of going down their roster, and you start talking about, I'll tell you what, you talk about The Last Dance? Holy cow, man. I don't think we'll get the truth, but sign me up for this, and nobody else in town better steal it. But I'm going to work right now on a documentary from 2017 Saxonville, okay? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That are what's going to air in summer of 2035.
I like it.
Okay?
I like it.
It's going to take me that long.
Yeah.
And we got to get some people out of the league before they're willing to talk, probably. But
I can't, dude, this is genius, man.
I mean,
what if I told you?
2035?
Yeah.
I want to run the documentary. I want to produce it. I want to direct it.
Yeah.
On 2017 Saxonville and what happened. Mm-hmm. And by the way, it's not all bad stories. But here we are in 2020. Yannick Ngakoue, we know what's played out the last 6 months, and who knows where it's going, but we kind of know where it's headed in terms of his career in Jacksonville. Certainly doesn't look like long term. He'll have at least some stories to tell in that documentary.
Yeah.
Avery Jones, fine. The longest tenured Jag. He's seen it all. Mm-hmm. That's his role in the documentary. Yeah. Malik Jackson, listen, they got some good years out of Malik Jackson. Always a character, good player, and now off to Philadelphia. And I hope he gets healthy because last year he was not. Yep. Calais Campbell will go down as one of the all-time greats in Jaguars history. But
do you think he gets Ring of Honor?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, We'll see. I would hope so, but I don't know if you can in 3 years. There'll be some critics to that.
Sure.
But, I'm the most biased guy when it comes to Calais Campbell. Telvin Smith retires out of the blue, and now this, and who knows what's next. Mm-hmm. Again, as we look down, as I'm telling this story in 15 years, what to make of Telvin Smith? I mean, who knows what else happens to Telvin Smith down the road, and who knows if he's sitting in jail somewhere based off of this incident alone. Paul Posluszny retired, and that was after the 17 season that he retired. Miles Jack got a second deal out of it, but still hasn't lived up to everything. And keep in mind, in 17, when he played in that postseason, he made some huge plays. It wasn't just Miles Jack wasn't down. I thought that was the blossoming of a superstar guy here in Jacksonville. Hasn't done it yet. Got another contract. Has a chance to really excel this year now that they've put him in the right spot. We'll see where his career goes. Jalen Ramsey, enough said. One of the true characters, but one of the great players on that 17 defense. Has one of the great soap operas of the entire 2019 season, one of the great soap operas we've ever seen here in Jacksonville, and now is with another team, but thanks for the 3 draft picks. Mm-hmm. A.J. Boye, really nothing to say, kind of, at least in this context, other than now gone elsewhere, which happens. Tayshaun Gibson just got cut by Houston, but might be on the downside. People don't want to pay him $5 million a year anymore. Barry Church, very interesting in Barry Church is that it went fast for Church. Keep in mind in 2017, he was a big part of it. Mm-hmm. 2018, halfway through the year, they were like, nope, he's slow and old. And then the whole London thing happened, where I still kind of, and hopefully rightfully so, feel a little bit for Barry Church because I think he took the brunt of that and the heat of that, and he was the face of that. And I don't think he needed to be or should have been. But that will be part of the story.
Yeah, I know, for sure. For sure.
In 2035. Yep. I tell you, it's an unbelievable documentary we could have here on this team. Who else could you bring up? There are other players, right?
I'm just trying to picture like Brent doing this whole thing, man.
Marcel Darius.
Yeah.
Darius, again, comes over in the trade. He's a huge addition to that team. And by the way, he had some accusations against him in the last couple of years, did not materialize into anything, but he did have some accusations.
I'll tell you what,
no longer with the team.
In terms of on the football field, an unsung hero for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Absolutely, in 17, and no longer with the team. Aaron Colvin goes into free agency off a big year and really just doesn't get it done. His career is kind of now just flattened out.
Yeah.
I think it's with the Redskins, right? I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
So and Dante Fowler. Yeah. And Fowler and all the escapades of Fowler, really. The dynamic in that locker room with Jan, on the practice field, the stuff off the field, they then traded to the Rams, and now with Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I guess I forgot to bring that up, with Atlanta, when we were talking about them the other day. I keep forgetting Fowler has gone there. Mm-hmm. And who knows what happens with Fowler's career. Maybe it's about to take off and blossom. And who would have thunk it? Really, the guy that was probably, for lack of a better term, labeled like the class clown of that group, yeah. Right? Kind of the forgotten member. He might have a chance after all this to be one of the stars of the group.
Yeah.
He might. Now, we'll see where his career goes.
Yeah.
But he might.
Mm-hmm.
It's a freaking good documentary. I mean, that's the 2017 team.
What if I told you that the biggest turnover didn't happen on the field, but on the roster? ESPN 30 for 30, Saxonville.
Listen, it's there, and you just got to give it some time, and will the stories ever come out? But, I don't know if it would be as entertaining across the board, but people remember that 17 defense nationally. That wasn't just a Jacksonville thing. They made waves nationally. Yeah. Now, would it garner the interest? Would the people in New England care about it? Nah, maybe not. Mm-hmm. But around here, again, if I'm still working for this in this business, in this place in 2035, sign me up for doing a documentary on that group, because it is it was one heck of a team that now has turned into a lot of different ways. And that brings me to something I want to ask. I think this is overplayed. One of the triggers of 2017 season that left for 2018 and changed a little bit of the dynamic, and I don't want to dismiss it. I know it changed the dynamic. But I think it's a little overplayed at how much it changed the dynamic. And you can tell me if I'm wrong. Posluszny retires and Mercedes Lewis gets released and he ends up in Green Bay. There's a lot of people that say, especially with the Puz situation, we know with Telvin, because of the retirement and how much Puz meant to him, we know Miles Jack was following Puz around like a little puppy, in a good way. I mean that in a good way, like kind of learning how to do it as a young pup, if you will.
Young pup.
And there was so much promise that Puz, because of what he kind of was all about, what would Puz do shirts that they joked about would do. Sure. They named, I think, the linebacking room after him. His picture of grit and stuff still in the hallways.
Well, and they had the award for most best workout guy
think so,
in the
weight room.
The Puz. Yeah. Absolutely.
What the common thought was, hey, Puz had a nice career. We love him around here. But he was aging, and it's a good time for him to get out, and these guys are ready to take the mantle. Mm-hmm. Man, they weren't ready.
No.
And they weren't ready. And I think the overvalued part of it is I'm not willing to just say, hey, Telvin went downhill, played poorly in 2018, something changed, retired from the game, now all this because Paul Posluszny left the football team. I think that's a little overplayed. I mean, do I think he impacted the team? Yes. But that might be giving him a little bit too much credit. Miles Jack, has he really matured into what you wanted him to be? Has it happened fast enough? No, he's still got a chance, but it hasn't happened fast enough. Was that because Posluszny was no longer there? I mean, what are your feelings on that part of it? The Posluszny influence. And by the way, I'm not trying to blame him for any of this. I just wonder how much one guy can influence a room with this young talent in there that, quite frankly, has not lived up to what we thought it might be since he left.
Listen, I've talked about it before, and you can go about building a culture and building a locker room two ways. You can say you have the guys in the locker room to be successful going forward. You have the leaders, you have the pillars, and if you're a coach, you let them kind of, I guess, dictate themselves, right? Like they kind of run the locker room. If you're the coach, you oversee it, but overall you don't have to worry about it. Or if you're a coach and you see, you know what, we don't really have the guys that are in place right now. We lost some of our leaders, and we're a young team. We're not mature enough. I have to spearhead this thing. I have to make sure that, we're minding our P's and Q's and we're being on point. Then it's the coach's job to be the leader. It's the coach's job to have the influence in the locker room. In my opinion, what happened was guys like Mercedes Lewis, guys like Puz, guys like Daryl Smith, all those guys. I mean, you can name, and you lost some of the guys from the 2017 team as well, but you lost a lot of leaders. And you essentially, if you're Doug Marrone, you thought, or whoever is the front office was, you thought, you know what? Even though we lost these leaders, these next guys coming up, they can handle it, right? They've been groomed, they've been conditioned, and we'll be okay. Well, essentially what you did was you gave the keys to your, your cherished Porsche to a bunch of teenagers, and the teenagers crashed the car, okay? Because they weren't ready. You thought they were, but they weren't. And it's simple as that, and that's kind of why I think, we're at the situation right now.
Yeah, it's a good description of it. It's amazing. By the way, part of my documentary, I think as you look back on it, will be that. Because people won't admit it or talk about it right now. But I do think in 10, 12, 15 years, it'll be like, man, listen, that did change the dynamic. I mean, they gave captaincy to Telvin Smith. Telvin Smith changed. Telvin Smith went kind of in front of cameras, fooling us a little bit, but he changed. And part of the changing was he became, Jalen Ramsey. I'll give you a quick little small change for Telvin Smith. Mm-hmm. Telvin Smith, the first couple years, he was like a go-to guy in the locker room. He's like, all right, on a Wednesday or Thursday when you go to the locker room after a game, he's a guy. He's a great, fun talker, smile, right? Always didn't get mad at anybody, but, it's just fun to listen to. Mm-hmm. I thought it was tremendous to listen to in a press conference. And you'd go to him. And what happens in a locker room is like, I might go to him, and then a couple other TV cameras come around, but then a different wave of reporters come or radio guys. I mean, there might be 15, 20 people in there, but like Calais during the media session would essentially talk for 40 minutes out of the 45 minutes because different waves of people came, and it's not always ideal for the player because they might have to go eat or do some other things. Well, Jalen Ramsey talked once a week. That's usually a quarterback thing or a veteran who's really built up a lot of respect thing, right? Mm-hmm. Quarterbacks talk once a week. A guy like Calais Campbell could have said, I'm only talking once a week, and that would have been fine. Jalen said, I'm talking once a week on Thursdays. Leonard Fournette, I'm talking once a week on Thursdays. Mm-hmm. Well, from 17 to 18, 17, Telvin Smith wasn't like that. Telvin Smith, you could talk whenever. In 18, he became the once-a-week guy. Mm-hmm. He became the one guy that you pull over to the center of the room and you talk to him there.
He wasn't having fun anymore.
But just that even a little bit was like, man, are you kidding? This guy would talk to the wall for the first 3 years he was in the league. And now all of a sudden, I'm the guy. I'm the captain. I'm this. I'll hold court. And so I'm not necessarily saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just telling you that's a small little change, even in Telvin Smith, that I remember from that time, kind of like, really? Like, we can't get you until tomorrow? Like, what's going on? This is not you. This is a little bit different.
The leaders that you had, that you thought were the leaders going forward, it's simple. They weren't having fun anymore, and the culture showed that it wasn't a pleasant place to be. And if that's how your leaders feel, then how the other players are going to feel. Simple as that. It trickles down. So I just think Telvin Smith, like I said yesterday, I think he was a guy that just wasn't having fun with the game of football anymore. Whether that was more of a front office thing, a culture thing, or a coach, whatever it was, wasn't having fun anymore. And like you said, he didn't do the interviews that much. I think it's a direct correlation of that.
Yeah, and by the way, there's more change from Telvin Smith than that. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of belief that he became one of the ringleaders in there for the problems in the locker room in 2018. I think Leonard Fournette has been listed as one of those guys. There are others, but Telvin Smith, who was wearing the C at that time, was one of those guys. Yeah. The thing about Telvin that bothered me a little bit in 2018 was he had asked for it. He's like, I want to be the leader of this team. I want to be known as that guy. I want to be this. Well, then he turns around and he's not really acting it that way in the locker room. He's almost becoming the guy that is causing maybe some of the issues, the internal problems in that locker room that became so highly publicized.
That's the issue, though, right? Where you can't have appointed leaders. You can't have captains who rebel and are like, well, this isn't fun. This isn't great, right? Because captains, essentially, they have to be company men, right? Like Jalen Ramsey was never a captain. Do you know why? Because Jalen Ramsey was never a company man. No, I say that with all due respect. I don't mean that.
But he admitted that.
No, for sure. But I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that if you are a captain of a football team, you have to like what's going on.
Yeah.
You have to see a vision, and you have to go along with that. Telvin Smith didn't like the vision. Telvin Smith didn't like the culture. Telvin Smith, whatever, didn't like the locker room. So when you have your leaders thinking like that, of course it's going to implode. But of course.
Yeah. The thing I would say, though, and what your point is on, But Jalen Ramsey, at least I give him a lot of credit with this. He said, I don't want to be the leader. I don't want to wear the C. I'm not that guy. He knew who he was. The difference is Telvin, when Puz retired, said, I want to be the guy. I'll be your next Puz.
Yeah.
I want rally around me. Well, then he didn't really lead by example at times, which became a bigger issue in at least the 2018 season. And to me, it just showed change. Yeah. I don't know what changed in the young player. It just changed. Listen, money? Was it strictly the deal? He got a lot of money.
I'm just going to say it like this, man. Telvin Smith loved the game of football, right? He wanted to be the captain. He became the captain. All of a sudden, it seemed like he won't be the captain anymore. He won't be part of that locker room. The thing changed. Well, what changed? I think his ability to have fun playing the game of football. With that being said, then it was the culture. He wasn't a fan of the culture. It turned his back on him, and he rebelled because of it, and the team suffered for it.
Well, in the summer of 2035, make sure you watch my documentary because we could find out that maybe Puzelezny's retirement did impact more than people want to admit. It doesn't seem to make sense, but it might have, especially for that young linebacking core. Wow, what a turn for Telvin Smith. We come back. You defended Gardner Minshew. I loved it. More Minshew talk next on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Mild temperatures this afternoon into early this evening. Quite cool overnight tonight into clear skies. We drop into the low to mid-50s. Sunny and pleasantly warm for your Friday. Highs tomorrow around 80. Saturday will be sunny and warm, but the humidity still comfortable with highs in the mid-80s. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
Hello, I'm Chuck Barnes. At Barnes & Cohen, we're pulling out all the stops to protect your health and ours. We have the latest software that enables our staff who are at high risk to work remotely without sacrificing first-class representation. Our offices remain open. We have a sanitized conference room, but maybe your best option, meet us here in our courtyard. Barnes & Cohen will continue to serve you in the safest way possible.
I'm Thea Jeffers, owner of Breezy Jazz Club and T-Works Interior Decorating. It doesn't matter where you come from, it's possible to own your own business. But starting a business isn't easy. The Jacksonville Women's Business Center helped give me the confidence to keep going when the going got tough. At JWBC, I got the training, networking, and support I needed to help me reach my goals. To find out more about how JWBC can help you, visit jaxwbc.com.
The economic difficulties caused by the current pandemic is affecting the survival of local small businesses. Many have had to close or greatly reduce operations. How well prepared are you to gear back up once conditions begin to improve? Will there be enough working capital to do so? Take advantage of this time to participate in a SCORE webinar or meet virtually with a counselor to get some ideas on developing a business recovery strategy. Register for a webinar or schedule a confidential mentoring session at jacksonville.score.org.
It's times like these that remind us all of how precious life is and how our love and relationships are what really matter. At Diamonds Direct, we believe this. Your love and well-being are truly our passion. That's why we've decided to temporarily close our showrooms, a decision rooted in caution and compassion. But rest assured, we are still here for you. Diamonds Direct's experts are behind the scenes helping customers 24/7, giving you access via text, live chat, email, or our special customer hotline that you can call anytime. Remote shopping options and expert guidance are always available, and our commitment to serve you is stronger than ever. Please visit diamondsdirect.com for more information or to start a remote shopping appointment. At Diamonds Direct, we're honored to be the symbol of your commitment to each other. And while we wait during this uncertain time, we encourage you to be safe, cautious, and courageous as we look forward to better days ahead. It's still your love, our passion, and nothing can change that. Not now, not ever.
Our friends at Arlington Toyota are here for you, and they've taken some extra steps to make sure your Arlington experience is safe and convenient. First, and this is a big one, Arlington has now extended its exchange policy to 30 days. That's 30 days you have to love your purchase or exchange it. Now that's peace of mind. They're also going to give you no payments for 90 days. That's 90 days deferred payments on all new and certified pre-owned Toyotas. You can shop over 1,000 vehicles online, and in fact, you can complete your entire purchase 100% online, including choosing your car, trade-in, and even financing. Arlington will then deliver your completely sanitized vehicle to you at your home. All departments at Arlington are open: sales, service, parts, and collision. And they've adjusted their hours to work best for you. Check it out online at arlingtontoyota.com. And if you do come in, know this: Arlington is using hospital-grade sanitizing products and following all CDC guidelines to keep you and their team safe. Find out more at arlingtontoyota.com. And most of all, stay well and know that Arlington is here to help.
These days, the whole world is on the internet 24/7, on their phones, at work, even at the dinner table. It's the internet all the time. So why, when it's time to sell your home, does your traditional agent charge you 6% to list it on the MLS to other agents instead of targeting buyers directly online? That's why Rex was born. For a fee starting at 2%, Rex sells your home where buyers are looking, online, optimized by data-driven marketing, not the MLS. To get started, visit sellwithrex.com. That's sellwithrex.com. With Rex, selling or buying a home has never been easier. Price your home, get a virtual consultation, visit online open houses and showings, all from the comfort of your home with a few clicks of a button. Want to learn more? Visit sellwithrex.com or just use your phone and call 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-739-4663. License number CQ 1057788. Minimum fee may apply. Rex fully supports the principles of the Fair Housing Act and Equal Opportunity Act.
This is a CMG Open for Business report. During these changing times, it's challenging for businesses across North Florida, big and small, but businesses are adjusting to meet your needs in a safe and comfortable way. Here's today's list of businesses that are open for you: E-Wing Irrigation, 1-800 Dry Clean, Bugs R Us Pest Control, River City Charters, World Class Construction, Charter Insurance Agency. If you're open for business, let us know by emailing us at openjax@cmg.com. Together, we're getting through this.
Do you hear something in the attic?
Where do you want to eat tonight?
Why won't the lights work?
Where should I take my car for engine work?
Do you think I need to get this spot checked out?
Where did these bugs come from?
When are we going to paint the house?
These and hundreds of other questions are still being asked daily. Will the answer be your business or your competitors? Don't leave it to chance. Let Cox Media Group Jacksonville make you the answer to their questions. Contact us at 245-8732 or email buildjax@cmg.com and let's build Jax.
This is a CMG Open for Business report. During these changing times, it's challenging for businesses across North Florida, big and small, but businesses are adjusting to meet your needs in a safe and comfortable way. Here's today's list of businesses that are open for you: Wave Juice Bar, First Coast Satellite, Blue Streak Couriers, Units Moving and Storage, Beds, Real Good Deals Auto Sales. If you're open for business, let us know by emailing us at openjax@cmg.com. Together, we're getting through this.
Jax in this together is not just a hashtag. We believe it, and we are living it, all of us. Hey everyone, this is Brent Martineau. These may be uncertain times, but we can still lift each other up, share a laugh, a smile, and even a shout out. If you would like to recognize someone, maybe a healthcare worker, a truck driver, someone who works for a local restaurant, or maybe it's someone's birthday, call *star 690. Leave a message and we will share it on ESPN 690. That's *star 690. Give it a call and help make somebody's day.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Green Bay's not going anywhere without Aaron Rodgers in the next few years. If he plays like we expect him to play, they got a shot with or without a first-round receiver. He's that good. So I would do all I could to not burn that bridge. And I don't think that they did that. I think that they burned a bridge that it's going to be hard to overcome. At some point, I think it will rear its ugly head.
That's Brett Favre on the Rich Eisen show last couple of days, and basically said, hey, Aaron Rodgers won't finish his career there. Listen, when Peyton Manning and Tom Brady don't finish their career in the same spot, when Brett Favre doesn't, listen, I'd take that bet. I mean, I bet everything these days, but I would take the bet that he wouldn't be there. Now that they add a first-round quarterback, I would have probably taken that bet anyway, though. is my point. If he thinks he's going to play into his 40s, well, look at all these other guys. I mean, nobody stays with the same team. Phillip Rivers is another example. So, I mean, if you ask me right now, will Russell Wilson end his career in Seattle? I'd say absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, guys tend to leave when those times that they're. So, okay, let me rephrase this. Guys tend to leave those teams when things aren't going right, okay? Brett Favre last year went to the NFC Championship game, okay? So one would think that it's not like a Jacksonville Jaguars 2017 team flash in the pan. One would think that the Green Bay Packers going forward are still going to be a successful team. So with that being said, I mean, will Favre be there for another 3 or 4 years? I think so, but I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves and goes to play someplace else.
You know, what's evident, too, I think it's a great – everything right now I'm relating in today's current events to the Last Dance that we're all watching because it's very relatable. I mean, you're talking about the greatest player of all time in the sport. You're talking about the greatest coach of all time, maybe one of the definitely one of the greatest teams, if not the greatest team, and one of the great dynasties in the Chicago Bulls. And what it shows me is even at the start, from Colangelo to Krause to others, Jordan always had angst about some of the moves they made. He was never always happy. He was scoring 38 points a game and not necessarily loved the franchise, loved everything going on. The bottom line is that's what happens. And, you know, obviously the Doug Collins, firing, didn't like it at the time.
Yeah.
Phil Jackson, that's how I got to Phil Collins, by the way.
I got you. I
Phil Jackson, on the other side of it, they loved it. Now, but as much as Krause loved Phil Jackson, within 10 years he was out the door and wasn't coming back.
Yeah.
So my point of this is the more you stay with an organization, the more you have a chance to build up animosity. And now, early on, winning can cure that, can overcome some of that, and we've seen that. But I think that's so evident in the Patriots organization. You know, a few years ago, there were these stories about Kraft, Belichick, Brady. They're not seeing eye to eye anymore. Do I think those were wrong? No. Do I think they were as maybe loud and dramatic as people were saying? No, not really. But do I think there was something there? There was a little smoke? Absolutely, because that's what happens. Happened when Brett Favre was in Green Bay. I think it happens in all organizations is my point. It's how much can you put up with? How much are you winning? How old are you and willing to move on? And is it the right thing to move on? And that's what we'll eventually get to with Aaron Rodgers. He'll get tired of it, and he'll say, I want out. They'll get tired of him and say, we're not willing to give you a 5-year deal. We're only going to give you a 2-year deal. Whatever it might be, we'll turn the page. So I think Brett Favre will be right.
But to be fair, though, with the whole Michael Jordan thing, listen, yeah, he clashed, obviously, with management and everything like that. But you know what they did? They gave him pieces around him. Okay.
Oh yeah.
When they needed, rebounds, they went to get Dennis Rodman. They surrounded him with Steve Kerr, Tony Kukoc, Luke Longley. Like, he was surrounded by a lot of great talent. Okay. One would think that if Tom Brady played with Antonio Brown the entire season this past year, and maybe they go to the Super Bowl again or whatever, they have success, Tom Brady would probably still be in New England right now. Okay. Maybe.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, agree to disagree.
But maybe you're right.
Agree to disagree.
You said maybe, so you could be right.
Agree to disagree. My point, though, is if you're Brett Favre, if you're Aaron Rodgers, but of course, you're ticked off, and guess what? It's not an MJ situation because they're not providing Aaron Rodgers any tools to have him be successful, okay? You're looking at a team last year, once again, who went to the NFC Championship game, and your first 3 picks are Jordan Love, A.J. Dillon, a backup running back when you already have a pretty good running back room, and a tight end, with all due respect, that is a better blocker than a receiver. That's how you help out Aaron Rodgers? That's how you show, you know what? You're our guy, Aaron, going forward. Let's go win a Super Bowl. That's how you reward him? It's crazy.
Yeah, and by the way, my kind of the combination of these stories here, I think the grudges are held. I think the animosity is tough to overcome. Yeah. You've got to really win big to squash the animosity. Keep in mind, Patriots had some of those animosity type things come out a few years ago, that article I'm referring to, and then they won the Super Bowl a year later or whatever it was. Well, that squashes a lot of things. The reason why, at least my interpretation, that Brady is no longer there is that they just didn't believe in him enough to give him a longer-term deal. And every time they gave him a 2-year deal instead or whatever deal instead, and they wouldn't believe him that he thought he could still play football at a high level. And I think that's what built a lot of the animosity with Brady and everyone else.
It comes down to taking care of your players. It comes down to taking care of your stars. Michael Jordan, they took care of him. Yes, you didn't agree with some of the things, but guess what? They gave you players to be successful. Tom Brady, Brady, those laundry list of players eventually ran out. Like, you had Randy Moss for a while. Like I said, they brought in Antonio Brown for a bit. I mean, they tried to make it work, but at the end of the day, Brent, he didn't really have the talent around him to be successful. And the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. You're not doing Aaron Rodgers any favors by drafting for the future. He's your guy. He's Aaron Rodgers, for crying out loud. Discount double check. So why not reward him? Why not say, you know what? We're going to take care of you. Let's go make our run and have faith in him.
Well, let's equate it to here in Jacksonville. Gardner Minshew is not Aaron Rodgers. Doesn't have the equity built up of a Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Brett Favre, or anything. Mm-hmm. But he did do something that was pretty cool last year. He came in as a 6th-round pick, rushed into action 10 snaps in, and he goes 6-6 in his rookie year. Yeah, you can tell me the teams he beat, all that stuff. He went 6-6 in his rookie year. He caught fire. He became a national phenomenon for a little bit. He became a local phenomenon in a short time. Mm-hmm. And now he's been given the reins to this football team. You talked about it earlier in the show when we were talking about Andy Dalton and the possibility of him coming here. And just a quick synopsis of that. We believe Andy Dalton's fit here in Jacksonville makes more sense as the backup role. We don't see him being the starter in Jacksonville. We're not saying go get Andy Dalton to be the starter. Now, I do think some of the national guys are saying, go get Cam Newton, go get Andy Dalton, go get one of these guys. At least compete with Minshew, because you don't know if he's the guy, and maybe win the job and give the Jacksonville Jaguars a better quarterback situation. It just makes sense. Well, we don't believe in that. And I say we because I think I've heard what you've said for the last few weeks, months, and today as well. The question I get to is, why isn't there more confidence or faith in Gardner Minshew? What else does he have to do to at least give him a fighting chance in the public perception? Kyler Murray, nobody is saying this about. Mm-hmm. Nobody's saying, hey, bring Cam Newton. Cam Newton's resume is way better than Kyler Murray's. Nobody's saying, go to Arizona. He only went 6-6. That's all he did with Arizona.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying this about Daniel Jones. Nobody's saying the Giants are better off bringing in Dalton, who went to 3 Pro Bowls, Cam Newton, Jameis Winston. No rumors. Daniel Jones, no, top 10 pick. He's fine. Drew Lock. They just put a whole bunch of weapons.
And you know what they said? Let's see what Drew Lock's got.
And they said, let's see what Drew Lock's got. And everybody's okay with it. He went 3-1. He played 4 games. Why not the confidence in Gardner Minshew to say, the dude went 6-6. He showed some brilliant moments. He's going to, I think the most undertold part about Gardner Minshew is he's staying in the freaking same zip code for the first time since he played high school football. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know we'll have a different offensive coordinator, but at least he gets to sleep in the same bed 2 years in a row. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a comfort level in that I want to see a smart guy see what he can do in terms of building on what he already knows with head coach Doug Marrone, what he knows with his receivers and DJ Chark, D.D. Westbrook, and those kind of guys, his offensive line, and now where it goes. I have no problem with him adjusting to a new offense. He's been able to do that 4 straight years in college and into the NFL. I just don't, and I know you agree, so I'm not like shouting at you. I'm just shouting at everybody else. I just don't understand it. You said it best last year. You really did. One of the first ones I heard say it like this is that if he was drafted anywhere in the first round or even the second round, nobody would talk like this. Nobody would say it. Mm-hmm. Because he's drafted in the 6th round, everybody looks at him as a movable chip here. Mm-hmm. But Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, those guys who showed a little bit of a sign, Drew Lock, who even was drafted, maybe 3rd round, 4th round, 3rd round?
I think third round. Yeah.
He's not a movable chip.
No.
He's okay.
Dwayne Haskins is sitting pretty. And guess what? And he had a horrible season.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if you ask nationally, I think people might say Minshew will be better than Haskins. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if he fits exactly in this category, but he is getting another shot.
But Haskins was a first rounder, so he's getting a shot.
So you said it best. I mean, it must strictly be that. Because he was picked in the 6th round.
Yeah.
What else could it be?
So here we go. Okay. And we asked the question, where does this animosity, where does this disbelief in Gardner Minshew come from? Okay, well, let's first analyze it from the national level. The national level doesn't follow the Jacksonville Jaguars.
No.
Okay? If you're watching the draft...
They're lazy on that front. Yeah.
If you're watching the draft, you go to commercial. And one of the cons, I think, one of the negatives of Gardner Minshew from a national perspective is also what kind of hurts him, I think, from a local perspective. We'll get to that in a second. But one of the negatives that hurts Gardner Minshew from a national perspective, I really think, and it's crazy to say, it's that he's being himself. It hurts Gardner Minshew when the national media celebrates him more for the bandana, for the mustache, for the jean shorts, as opposed to what he's actually doing on the field.
He's a cute story.
Of course. It's cool to have Uncle Rico, and him throwing the football, and I'm sure that gets fantastic ratings. But hey, how about we celebrate the guy's won 6 games in his rookie year? How about we celebrate that his numbers are not too shabby? They're some of the best rookie numbers of the past season. Why don't we celebrate that? But you don't, because you don't follow the Jacksonville Jaguars. All you see is the shiny thing, which is Gardner Minshew, and you see the shininess be, oh, look at he's this folk guy. He's really cool. I mean, he goes on these RV trips and everything like that. Cool. Hype that up. That's good viewership. Sounds good. But you don't ever give the guy props for what he does in the football field. So that's the national media's problem, okay?
I feel like he's Jeremy Lin in that sense.
Yeah, pretty much, man.
Right?
It's an excellent comparison where everyone wants to come along for the ride, and you want to celebrate the ride, but you're not appreciating what the ride actually is. Okay? The ride is
what
the
it could
fact
be.
that exactly. The ride is the fact that he could be a starting quarterback for years to come. But you want to celebrate jean shorts and bandanas and all that stuff. So then that brings me to the local part of it. Okay? And I'm talking to Jacksonville Jaguars fans here in this city and all around the world. I'm talking to people who actually follow the team, who know what's going on. Okay? One of the problems, I think, once again, is the fact that people paint Gardner Minshew kind of like they did Blake Bortles, where it's like, well, off the field, look what he's doing. This guy's crazy, man. Like, once again, he's taking the RV trips. Look at what he's wearing here. Look at this Instagram video. This guy's crazy. But then you don't give him props for what he's done on the field. Like, you think he's like this kind of cartoon guy, but then you don't give him props for when he should deserve it. And listen, I'm not trying to call it all the Jaguars fans around here, because there's a lot of great Jaguars fans. But sometimes I think people that go against Gardner Minshew, you always want to be miserable. You guys enjoy going 6-10 every single season. You guys enjoy complaining about the organization, complaining about the product on the field. You actually don't want to see him be successful, because that's the only reason why I can think of that you're trying to go against Gardner Minshew right now, man. I don't know if Gardner Minshew is going to be the guy going forward. Brent, you don't know either. Really, literally nobody does. All I know is what his teammates say about him, what his coaches say about him, and what my eyes tell me from what I've seen on the field. And what my eyes tell me is they can be a special player. What his teammates tell me, he's a dog on the field. And what the coaches tell me, he's a guy going forward. If I put those 3 things together, I think it's going to be something special. Now, once again, we'll see, but here's the fact. You might as well cheer for him. You might as well get behind the guy, because one of 2 things are going to happen this season. He's going to be successful, he's going to prove the doubters wrong, and he's going to be your quarterback going forward, or he's going to struggle, he's going to lose games, and then, you know what? The experiment's over. Then go get your first-round guy with their draft capital. Simple as that. It's literally, you're in a win-win situation right now if you're a Jaguars fan. You're in a win-win situation for the quarterback position, the most important part of a football team. And people won't give the guy a chance. What am I missing? Like, how can you justify it? And once again, I'm not trying to call it Jaguars fans or anything, man, but I swear some of y'all it's like being miserable. Some of y'all don't want us to have success. Some of y'all don't want to see a guy actually shine more than, well, yeah, he's got the bandana, he has the jean shorts. Talk about what he does on the field, man.
Yeah, listen, I couldn't have said it any better. It might have been your finest day on the radio here today when it comes to Gardner Minshew. I will piggyback on what you just said. Here's another reason to embrace this. Because really, for the first time in a long time, the Jags are fortunate, in a sense. They might have found a guy they stumbled on. Mm-hmm. One with personality, good for the business side, and also that can win football games, and you can have fun watching it. Mm-hmm. They're about to change the offense for this guy, in my opinion, with Jay Gruden. And so you might have the guy. Still not sure, but you have an opportunity, given the fact this roster and the situation here in Jacksonville, to learn if he's the guy, to give him ample time to know if he's the guy. And you know what? Here's the best part of the situation. Just to piggyback off what you said, if he's not the guy, you still have a chance to get one of the best guys in the following draft to be the guy.
Of course.
So it really is a fortuitous situation, in a sense, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, because they might have it, and they can hold that draft capital and build around him even more next year. Mm-hmm. If he's not it, well, they get to couple all those picks up, move up and get Trevor Lawrence or get your guy Justin Fields or whoever you rank, but get your next guy. And it's almost for once in this organization's history, it's like the timing is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Like it's not a bad situation to be in. Now, are you going to the Super Bowl here this year? Probably not.
Yeah.
I get it. But the situation is really not a bad one for Shad Khan, fans, and everybody else to be in here in 2020.
I mean, yeah, but it's as simple as that, man. Like, let's just see what the kid's got, all right? Let's see if he is the guy. Let's see if the defense can actually play and have his back a little bit. Let's see DJ Chark in another year. Let's see if D.D. Westbrook's going to be the guy going forward. Like, be excited, Jaguars fans. Like, listen, I understand right now, everyone's saying, oh, Jaguars, 2 wins, 3-win season. And you know what? That might not be out of the realm of possibilities. That's another argument for another day. But right now, sitting as a Jaguars fan, man, just be excited for Gardner Minshew, because guess what? He's going to show if he's the guy or not. And if he's not, then the backup plan's already in place. Yeah. Don't be so miserable all the time. Damn.
Now, listen, the Jags have given those fans plenty of reason to be miserable.
Exactly. But why not be excited for once in your life about the quarterback position, man?
Hey, look, it started this week. It's why I said they'll have a better record than the Patriots and not a top 5 pick. Yeah. I don't look at them as being as bad as everybody thinks, because I have a little faith in Minshew. I think it's going to be a fun season watching him play. Yeah. He showed us a bit of that. Why can't I believe in that? You could too. When we come back, some news, sports coming back, and also more events getting canceled. Next on ESPN 690.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Austin Lane from Action Sports Jackson, ESPN 690. Social distancing doesn't mean disconnecting. If you're working from home, keep tabs on the world of sports and Action Sports Jax on your smart speaker. Tell your Amazon Echo or Google Home, play ESPN 690.
When you think about your AC system, do you think cool, clean, efficient air? Or maintenance, costly repairs, filters, refrigerant, wear and tear from our extreme Jacksonville temperatures, year-round humidity, and salty air? You know that most of the time, AC ownership is anything but stress-free. That's why Wakehoff's AC offers stress-free AC ownership. For a low monthly cost, starting at just $100 per month, you get a brand new efficient AC system with a smart thermostat. All of your repairs are covered with both parts and labor at no charge. Wakehoff's is going to conduct all your maintenance visits for free, keeping your system running cool, efficient, and clean. And they'll even take care of all your filters. Starting at just $100 per month or just $155 a month for the highest performing system. Imagine a brand new efficient system. No cost repairs, no cost maintenance, no cost filters, no stress. It's the stress-free AC program from Wakehoff's. Call them today, 880-5525 or wakehoffsac.com.
Tire Outlet, the local name in tires that you know and trust, is now offering mobile installation. Tire Outlet mobile installation is safe, no hassle, quick, and same day at your home or office. A Tire Outlet professional will bring and install your tires right on site while staying safely distanced. The only thing easier than getting new tires with mobile installation is making the appointment. Call 904-600-0089 to reserve an appointment. Tire Outlet is part of the First Coast community and is in this with you.
It's times like these that remind us all of how precious life is and how our love and relationships are what really matter. At Diamonds Direct, we believe this. Your love and well-being are truly our passion. That's why we've decided to temporarily close our showrooms, a decision rooted in caution and compassion. But rest assured, we are still here for you. Diamonds Direct's experts are behind the scenes helping customers 24/7, giving you access via text, live chat, email, or our special customer hotline that you can call anytime. Remote shopping options and expert guidance are always available, and our commitment to serve you is stronger than ever. Please visit diamondsdirect.com for more information or to start a remote shopping appointment. At Diamonds Direct, we're honored to be the symbol of your commitment to each other. And while we wait during this uncertain time, we encourage you to be safe, cautious, and courageous as we look forward to better days ahead. It's still your love, our passion, and nothing can change that. Not now, not ever.
Let's say you have ED, male impotence, or maybe you suffer from PE and can't satisfy your partner. If you have either or both of these embarrassing conditions, Prime Men's Medical Center has the solution. Meet Dr. Rabinski, a specialist in men's health.
If you're experiencing ED or PE, Prime Men's Medical Center has custom blended medications designed just for you. There's no pain and no surgery. If you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or prostate issues, not a problem. If Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra have let you down, Prime Men's Medical Center has patients lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer. You'll see results on your first visit guaranteed, or your visit is free. And best of all, it's affordable.
For a private consultation with our highly skilled physicians, call 904-206-8105. We guarantee that you'll see results on your first visit, or there's no charge for your consult. Call Prime Men's Medical Center now. at 904-206-8105. That's 904-206-8105.
It's time for some straight talk. The big wireless carriers try to wow you with big deals, but the savings are very little. With Straight Talk Wireless, you get the exact same network as the big guys while saving up to 50%. Right now, you can get the unlimited plan with up to 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G for just $45 a month. No contract, no mystery fees, all with nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable networks. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
At AutoZone, we're here to help you get what you need, and that won't change. In need of an oil change? Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic Motor Oil, an STP Extended Life Oil Filter, and a $15 AutoZone gift card by mail or email, all for just $33.99. And if you need something fast, you can get it fast. Your way, whether it's next-day delivery or free same-day pickup, in-store or curbside. The choice is yours. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Restrictions and details on AutoZone.com.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
I think at the end of the day, the fact that, obviously we're getting some nice height for our draft. I think he's going to want to get in here and get with these players, whether it's CeeDee Lamb or anyone else, and, get together. He wants to win, and we've said all along, the only one who benefits more than Dak Prescott, if the Cowboys happen to be fortunate enough to win a championship, is probably the Jones family. So we're all motivated to win. We will certainly want Dak to be happy, but we also want to surround him with great football players.
We were guessing who that one was. And again, it's all about context, not about voice. And I think even Kuz was like, I don't know who this is either. He was the one playing it.
Well, no, I mean, there's a weird sound that happened.
You missed
Did you
it.
hear
Austin's
that
headphones squealed.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I almost blew up my eardrum. That's what I was referring to.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I'm okay, though. Don't
Must
worry.
be the Minshew haters getting after you.
Must be, man. Starting to get hacked over here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that was Stephen Jones about Dak Prescott. I think it was Stephen Jones from the Cowboys organization. And
is that Jerry's son?
Yeah.
Figured, yeah.
Good
call, man.
The Dak Prescott situation is an interesting one, but, I mean, shoot, man, there's nobody in a better situation. Look what they have on offense.
Keep giving them weapons, man. They keep reloading and reloading. Yeah, I mean, if you're Dak Prescott, I like what you see from that standpoint. The fact that you still got one of the best running backs, and I get it, there's not a really big high priority on running backs, but Ezekiel Elliott, he is one of those game changers. So, yeah, especially on offensive line, too, that's always been pretty solid. If you're Dak Prescott, you're in the most perfect situation that a quarterback can be in, I think.
Yeah, and by the way, holds a ton of leverage, right?
Dak?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, not maybe this year he just plays on. I understand he plays on the tag, but in the long run, holds a ton of leverage. The investments they've now made, $100 million in Cooper, the amount of money in Ezekiel Elliott. You need that to win during that window. You're paying a running back that much, and now they get CeeDee Lamb as well.
I mean, you're talking a backup quarterback right now is Cooper Rush. Go ahead and tell me about Cooper Rush real quick, Brent.
Good point.
Care to take a stab of who Cooper Rush is? Where is he from? His story? Where did Cooper Rush go to college, Brent?
Go to college. Kellen Moore's the offensive coordinator.
Correct.
I don't remember him at Boise State.
Smaller school, though, kind of like Boise State.
Yeah, kind of one of those. I would say Cooper
Midwest.
Rush. Oh.
Northern Midwest.
Cooper Rush. He's not another North Dakota State kid, is he?
Nope.
Central Michigan.
Dang! Yeah, Central Michigan.
Yeah.
Good call,
there
man.
You go.
Yeah.
How about that? Go Chippewas.
You killed it. Nice job. Yeah, Cooper Rush is from Central Michigan, going on, I think, his 3rd or 4th year here in the NFL. That's all I can tell you about Cooper Rush. And behind Cooper Rush would be, I don't think it's even available right now. So
Blake Bortles.
No, we got Clayton Thorson. So
don't ask me to name his school.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, some responses on social media from today's show so far. Jeremy says, I thought the downfall of Saxonville would be a great 30 for 30. Jeremy, don't take my idea.
You better copyright that real quick. Yeah. That's possible.
Someone might beat me to it.
Yeah.
Mike K says his emotional reaction in press conference was alarming in hindsight in terms of Telvin Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Florida Gambler said, weird question I asked about Puzz in terms of the downfall and could that have impacted it. He says, I think the death of Telvin's brother likely had a much more significant impact on his off-the-field decline, on and off. Terry says, no, the drugs did. Well, you got to give me a little more evidence than just speculation on that, I would say. Keith M says now it was his brother's death. When you lose family member that close, it can send you to some dark places. Some don't come back out of that hole. That's fair enough.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Now, that was during the 17 season. He still went to the Pro Bowl that season. He played at a high level that season.
Yeah.
But was it the offseason? Was it something that changed? It could have,
Absolutely.
Again.
Not going to say it didn't affect it.
I will say this. We went to Telvin's hometown of Valdosta in his old neighborhood and did a story, and I think we're going to share that today. It's now a couple years old.
Mm-hmm.
But we did a story on Telvin Smith and kind of where he was from and all that. And initially the story I wanted to do was a little bit more on his relationship with his brother, how impacted he was. And we gave it some time. We didn't want to do it right away. But we never really could get close enough to that situation. Didn't want to go there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of unanswered questions and unknowns in terms of his brother's death and how close they like all of that,
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's a lot of unknown questions on Telvin Smith in general. Even before this latest thing. So, but we did that story, and you'll be able to see it. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. It should be up on the YouTube channel or our Facebook page, Action Sports Jacks. We'll share it on ESPN 690 Jacks Facebook. But it's from a couple years ago, and it's not necessarily relative to today and to his arrest yesterday, but I do think it's a little more insight behind the Telvin Smith that we were hanging around with in Valdosta at that time, and which is interesting. A guy that seemed pretty happy, and in the situation he was in, and things certainly did change in a hurry. I forget the actual month we were there, and I shouldn't say we because I tried to get there and then I couldn't fit into my schedule. Marcel Robinson actually went up and shot the story, and so he was there. And it's some compelling stuff about where he grew up in Valdosta, people that helped him grow up, and the story really that he had became. We talk about a story in Telvin Smith, and now that's a sad story. For some time there, he was an incredible story about where he came from, about the successes that he had, and now that has kind of taken a downward turn in how it all has changed. Taken for Trevor says, should there be, this one has to do with this one.
Hang on. What is the guy's name?
Tanking for Trevor.
Well, then we know where this is going to go right here.
Yeah, shouldn't there be more confidence in Gardner Minshew, I said. Should there be? He was 6-6. He had played in 14 games, was legit horrible in his losses and a couple of his wins. I think he deserves his shot this year to prove he can be a long-term backup for the new guy.
So...
Ty says, and it's not, I don't think this is Ty, that lives in my house.
Gonna lose it.
But his name is Ty. We're going to have Minshew starting for another 2 to 3 years. Let's be honest. I don't know if he means that in a good way or a bad way. Justin says, not if you sign him as the backup with a chance to compete in terms of the Andy Dalton stuff, because somebody said, couldn't this be a Foles debacle? It's not going to be a Foles.
No, not
it's
even
not going to be a Foles debacle because they're not going to spend that kind of money.
By the way, with a chance to compete in parentheses, in quotations.
Let's see what else. What else? No arm strength, just a guy.
There we go. There it is. No arm strength.
Oh, wait. He was talking about maybe my video of throwing to the kids. I thought he was talking about Minshew.
Okay.
That wouldn't have been good.
Well, did you want me to get on the guy about your arm strength too? Did you want me to defend you right now, or are you defend yourself, or what?
I think he was talking about me throwing to the kids that I tweeted out earlier.
Brother. You got plenty of arm strength.
I said I'm going to need Tommy John surgery when this pandemic ends. Throwing a lot. All right, let's. I want to get to a couple of things. There's some stuff happening in NASCAR. Says they're coming back May 17th. everything is starting to turn a corner here in this regard. Now, how far around that corner we get, what does that mean with fans and everything else? That's debatable because there will be no fans at the start of this. Remember, golf is due back June 11th, and they will not have fans, I think, for the first 4 tournaments, at least as of now. NASCAR says they will be back May 17th and continue on with their schedule. So that's their plan as of now. Full slate of races coming up. In general, they're going to update those after as well. But I think they're saying without fans. I'm trying to get the details here on the NASCAR stuff. Little League World Series canceled. Mm-hmm. Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame induction ceremony canceled, which will create an interesting 2022 when you have the 20 and 21 class at induction ceremonies. So still getting a little bit of a mixed deal. You know, you got summer events, I think due to travel and big gatherings, like the induction ceremony, that are being canceled. Mm-hmm. And you got to make a move sooner or later. That thing's usually in early July. But then you do have the golf business getting back to business. You do have NASCAR saying, hey, we'll race. And I believe I saw somewhere that will be without fans initially.
MMA, remember too, MMA, because since you mentioned golf, let's bring up the UFC then.
It's fair and balanced.
Yep, fair and balanced. Yes.
MMA.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brent.
MMA May 9th coming up.
Oh, yeah.
That will actually be the first thing to get back.
Did we get credentials for that or not?
I don't know. I got to check with Stewart.
Okay.
Why don't you just say, I'll go fight? See if anybody backs down.
Oh, trust me, we've reached out. Yeah. We reached out.
That's May 9th, but that's also a couple in a row. Right after they're doing some here in the state of Florida is in Jacksonville.
Correct. Yeah, there's going to be 3 shows here in Jacksonville. Yep.
So I wonder what happens. And with all due respect, I'm not sure golf will be the one. I'm not even sure NASCAR will be the one. Yeah. I'm not sure MMA will be the one. I don't know what it will take to give people okay, we can do this.
It's good to go.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if MMA is so different in that respect because you really, and now, although it's not the same thing as wrestling, and I understand that. But
careful, Brent.
No, I know, but people have now seen like wrestling done without crowds. So they're almost like it's going to blend in with MMA. It's not the same thing, but it will blend in that regard.
To the casual person, for sure. But I make the argument, keep in mind, with MMA, you got guys cutting weight, okay? And cutting weight takes a toll on your body and your immune system. So if guys can cut weight, do it the proper ways, go through the proper channels, put on a UFC event with no trouble, I think that gives you a lot more faith than even WWE going forward, just because you have guys that are actually putting their bodies on the line before they even step in a cage with cutting weight and all that stuff.
Yeah. It's the NBA, I think, came out, first NFL, and everybody's coming out with stuff because the lawmakers are now saying things. That's why people are coming out with things. But the NFL, I just saw Pelissero, I think, a tweet a short time ago. Sorry, sometimes it's hard to keep up with the details of this and yap for 3 hours, but we're trying. So this one was, hey, as of now, teams' headquarters are closed. Still can't go because there are some states allowing it, like here in Florida. You might be able to get back in there in a couple weeks. But in New York, you can't, right? So they're not allowing that stuff to happen until everybody can. But they say they're closely monitoring. So, again, it kind of feels like, hey, are we taking a step forward in getting back to some sense of normalcy? And I'm talking more the sports world. If you've been paying attention the last 24 hours or so, they are going to start here in Jacksonville and the state of Florida, restaurants and retail opening up to a degree next week.
Yep.
So we're already seeing that. I'm talking from a sports sense only. The NFL is starting to take a little bit further of a peek. The NBA has discussed various things. I saw a report today, in fact, during our show once again, that said like executives and agents are saying they should just cancel the season. Yet I saw a response to that from one of the NBA reporters, the national reporters, say, actually, there's a lot of legs for Orlando and Vegas type of neutral site situations.
Ooh, there you go, Coos.
We had,
take place.
Remember Keith Smith? We had him on.
Maybe it was Keith that I saw.
He was writing. So we're good friends from our podcast days, and he used to work at Disney. So he wrote this huge article about how Disney would be actually perfect for them if they needed to essentially rope them off to the world so that they could do something like that. And apparently it got a lot of legs, and a lot of the higher, up guys that tweet about the NBA started kind of reacting to that as well.
Yeah, I think that was interesting to me to see that back and forth. And I don't know if Keith was one with the back and forth, but I did see it in the last couple hours. One was, hey, executives and agents were saying, hey, it might be time to cancel the season. That was one report. And then, bam, right on top of that was, actually, there's some legs for Vegas and Orlando, or the neutral site kind of they've taken some big steps in that regard to see what happens. To start things around early July, I think would be the plan. Major League Baseball has talked about new divisions and how they would do that. I've heard some things that they could expand rosters as much as 50 people in Major League Baseball, although they'd probably more likely be in the mid-30s. But then Major League Baseball teams would have to pay players that many players, which then brings up a different conversation. There's talk out of the Oakland A's that they're going to start laying people off. So some of these organizations are taking a bigger hit than others that aren't these rich businesses or organizations. I mean, there is a lot going on here. There was a report yesterday minor league baseball was going to be canceled. Minor league baseball came out and said, no, that's not the case. We have not done that. That's an erroneous report.
Did you see what the Brewers and Dodgers did? No refunds for tickets that during the pandemic.
They said none.
No refunds. You can go to a different game this year, but no refunds.
Really?
What are they, the airlines?
Hey, and believe me when I say that I've been spending the last couple months through Houston Texans Twitter and going through those mentions. Well, now I'm going back to my hometown team and looking at the Brewers mentions, because guess what? People are not happy with the Milwaukee Brewers right now.
Well, here's the deal. You know what's interesting about that is I always wonder about refunds. Say like a game gets rained out, right? And then you can use it at a different date. This is a little bit different. It's a lot different, actually, because if you missed already, what are we in? We're going into May. So let's just say they played starting in June, and they really did, like regular ball. I'm sorry, June. So they would miss 2 months of games. So let's say they missed 16 home dates.
Okay.
Well, now you can use those at any time. What if you are the Dodgers were one, you said?
It's only the Dodgers and Brewers as of now. This was a couple hours ago.
Yeah, the Dodgers, I mean, like, is it first come, first serve to use those? Because what if you had a crowd, say in June 6th, they're playing the Yankees, and a crowd of, 38,000, and you have 4,000 empty seats, but 6,000 people say, I'm going to use my ticket from today. That stuff gets tricky, I would think.
Hey, man.
And there's probably some logical conclusion on that. I just don't know it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just say I offer the refund.
Yeah, you're not talking about one rain out is my point. You're talking about 16 different dates, maybe 30 dates to do that too.
Yeah.
I think that becomes much trickier.
Yep.
But there's a lot of things going on, and the more people you talk to kind of behind the scenes, I know some folks in the minor league baseball, not just here in Jacksonville, but that are kind of in tune with what's going on with the MLB stuff. And it's the conversations taking place are so long and so many different layers. It's tough. It's tough to figure out, and we'll see where it all ends up. But I guess the positive news here is we've all been curious. We've all wondered. I don't even think we tried to guess because we know that's a foolish exercise. But it really does feel like in the last 24, 36 hours, whether it's just your life, your workplace, or now sports, that we've taken this little bend, at least a little peek around the corner of this thing, and starting to find the solutions on that side of it for the first time. There's been talked about for a week and a half, but now there are steps being taken to say, okay, where does that lead us around this corner? And that's a good sign, I think.
It is. I mean, to me, the biggest thing is, let's say going forward now in a couple months, we're back to normal, right? And I don't want to get all political. I don't want to get just non-sports topics here, but let's just say that there hasn't been a cure yet, right? And let's say that we go back to the way things were. Well, let's say it's like a football season, or it's like the last of the baseball season. Let's say somebody catches it again. I mean, do you just quarantine that one person, or do you shut down the whole league again? Like, to me, you have to make sure that everything, like all the plans, all the things are in place where no one can get it, Because if someone gets it on their job when they're playing professional sports, to me, you got to shut down the whole league again, because that's what happened in the first place in the NBA. Now, I'm not sure if that's the correct way to go about things. I'm just saying it makes sense to me.
Yeah, listen, I believe it I've not been an everyday tuning into news conferences and all that stuff guy on this. I really have
Join
not.
the club.
I've read the headlines, the bullet points, and followed along, as closely as I can without being just nauseated by it. I feel like now that we're hitting the warmer weather, even around the country, kind of that sense of, okay, you're okay for a bit until we turn back to the fall where people start getting sick again, not necessarily with this, but any kind, colds and flus. You can have a summer cold, but people aren't getting sick in general. Take coronavirus away from it in the summer months. It doesn't happen as frequently, right? The numbers go way down. And I think with this, I don't know what the latest studies say about the heat, but I know the early studies said, well, it won't be as prevalent in the heat. So I think now is the time to kind of, at least if you're going to explore some of those things, it's probably to take advantage of the calendar. To your point about what if, well, I think that will be part of this, no doubt. Whatever they decide, the what if is going to be part of this because they have warned against, hey, it could bounce back and it could come back. And some people say it might even be worse. So now that we've experienced this, I guess there would be precedent in place to be able to shut it all down again, and people would at least be aware of how to do it and how to react and all those things, which still could be devastating to people, economy, all the other stuff. And then the only other thing I would say is if you say maybe October-ish, November-ish, where there could be the danger point again, you just really hope science takes over by then and there's something to stabilize, something to, I'm not saying vaccine, but there's something to at least combat it.
Correct.
By then. That buys science a few more months. Again, I'm not highly educated in that part of it. I don't know. I think all that stuff is still very hypothetical. But I would consider if you're going to make some moves, whether it's fan-related, gathering-related or not, if you're going to try to implement some of these things that have been talked about, these next few months are the time to do it because it's not prime time for people to get sick anyway, even before the coronavirus. So it'll be something to keep an eye on. All right. So anyway, big deal here, or the big story, NASCAR says they're coming back. We already knew golf was coming back. MMA, like we said, will be in Jacksonville. That's actually next weekend. Not open to fans. None of this stuff is open to fans. And we'll see what happens. MLB, minor league baseball. College and NFL still down the road a little bit. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. Where does this stuff land? In the next couple of weeks could be very telling at how this latest round of opening some stuff back up in certain states, including this one, play out. It'll be an interesting couple of weeks and probably a very important couple of weeks in terms of where we go from here.
Once again, can't preach it enough. Try to get me one of those credentials to the UFC event here
we'll
in Jacksonville.
Weber was looking at it.
If I see you on the TV and you call it an MMA ring and not an MMA cage,
it'll be a cage
or an octagon. I'll probably lose my mind. So,
what do you prefer, a cage or octagon?
Well, the octagon is a UFC trademark thing.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So you should probably know this. We're gonna go cover it in a week.
Okay,
so
UFC is seriously a trademark.
The octagon
is?
Yeah, I mean, technically, you can call it an octagon.
I thought geometry teacher had it.
No,
trademark.
I'm pretty sure the UFC has
going into the polygon
has the phrase octagon trademarked because the ring that Combat Night, the ones I fought here in Jacksonville, they call it the Combatagon.
That one's not trademarked.
That's what they call it, Brent. That's what they call it.
By the way, just to add to your things that are being announced apparently on social media, LeBron James teasing the new Space Jam.
He is.
2021.
Now, LeBron's also doing something where they're going to honor high school kids around the country. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
He's going to help host an event, I think it is, which will be interesting.
Yeah.
We're going to we'll launch some things with seniors here in town coming up next week. We actually did on the TV side as well. They're two different things, although it kind of accomplishes the same. We want to give a shout out to the seniors so you can pay attention to ESPN690.com and get more information in the next couple of days, we hope. But also on the TV side, we'll launch it on Sunday night on Action Sports Jack's Primetime. So if you know a senior, and especially sports related, but doesn't have to be sports related, we want to give them a shout out. You can send them into sports@actionnewsjacks.com and we can give them a shout out on TV because this is the month where a lot of seniors would be celebrating, from graduations to proms to senior trips and finishing up sports careers as well. Still very much a part of this story. High school seniors and even college seniors that are kind of missing out on this segment of their life that they've looked forward to.
Kuz, real quick, man. Couple questions for you. Number one, regarding Space Jam. Do we know who the NBA players are going to be on LeBron James, like in the movie?
No. So the way that the photo that he posted, by the way, is like a selfie, but the text, it's like a Space Jam hat that he's wearing. So everything is flipped, and I think it says "A New Legacy," which I think I'm assuming means like Space Jam: A New Legacy is the title. But that's all I've gotten out of it. And
number two, how great is the soundtrack going to be? Because the original Space Jam, and Brent, maybe you remember, the original Space Jam soundtrack, I mean, R. Kelly, I Believe I Can Fly. Now, I get it, R. Kelly's a guy that, he's been in some trouble. But I'm just saying the song, I Believe I Can Fly, is fantastic. You had Seal, Fly Like an Eagle, the old Steve Miller. Yeah, you had that one. You had a Coolio song. You had some really good songs in there. Can they match it with today's, because you're a big music guy.
I'm convinced that no matter what, no matter how good or bad LeBron James's Space Jam is,
not coming close to the original.
And people are going to hate it.
People
are going to either hate it or like it because they'll be on the MJ or LeBron.
Oh, the Quad City DJ Space Jam song, too.
By the way, it's like it couldn't be a worse time for LeBron to come out with something like this, given all the love for Jordan right now.
Well, it'll be next year.
I know, but it's still going to be in that kind of same...
What did you want Larry Bird with Bugs Bunny then hanging out? Is that what you want? Is that what the people want to see?
A nice post game.
But I will tell you, I think you're right on the money. I think people are like, LeBron's got no chance in this one.
I mean,
he's got no chance for it to be like they're going to have to really come up with some big things. The other thing about LeBron, he better pick good music. He chose the Lakers just to be near Hollywood and all this stuff. He better be able to get good music into the damn
good music movie. Easy, Brent, passing it. I like it, man.
Well, better move to L.A. for a good reason. My goodness. When we come back, something I didn't get into yesterday, I'm going to share a couple of folks that people think around the league could get cut.
Okay.
And if the Jags would be willing to pick them up. And the reason I say it, it's really more of it looks at the Jaguars' depth, but specifically one position and not really quarterback, although we will revisit the Andy Dalton topic if you're just jumping in today. Andy Dalton released by the Cincinnati Bengals. Does it make sense in Jacksonville? You can always share your thoughts, too, on social media. 904-362-9901 as well. We'll be back on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Quite cool overnight tonight under clear skies. We drop into the low to mid-50s. Sunny and pleasantly warm for your Friday. Highs tomorrow around 80. Saturday will be sunny and warm, but the humidity still comfortable with highs in the mid-80s. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish for 104.5 WOKV.
Get out there. Yep, that's what we said. Get out there with your resume. It's true, you've heard the news about historic unemployment numbers, but there's positive news out there too. Companies are still hiring. You just have to know where to look. And where you should look is CareerBuilder. CareerBuilder has over 300,000 open jobs listed right now, and most of the positions do not require a college degree or prior experience in the job title.
Today in Jacksonville, CareerBuilder has over 5,000 new job listings. Positions like retail supervisors, customer service representatives, retail salespeople, and registered nurses.
Visit CareerBuilder.com to create a resume for free. Upload a resume, search jobs near you, and let our technology connect you to employers. Now, more than ever, we're working to support the mainstream American workforce and to help you find a job fast. Visit CareerBuilder.com. CareerBuilder, we're building for you.
Skip a meal during COVID-19 for Clara White Mission by sponsoring Breakfast to Go for the homeless. It only costs $25 for 13 meals a day, $50 for 25 meals, or donate $500 to feed 250 homeless for a day. Join us as an individual, business, church, or civic association. Skip a meal for the Clara White Mission today. Visit clarawhitemission.org and click on Give Now or call 904-354-4162. Clara White Mission, over 116 years of service to our community.
When your car needs service, you want a safe place to go. That place is Arlington Toyota. Here's how Arlington has enhanced safety in their service department to keep you and their team of technicians safe. You can drop off your vehicle and Arlington will give you a solo ride home, so you don't have to wait on site. Arlington will even pick up your vehicle from you and return it free through April 30th. And speaking of sanitized, Arlington is cleaning the steering wheel, center consoles, and gear shift with sanitizing wipes as an added precaution. And if you come in, Arlington has enhanced its cleaning measures using hospital-grade sanitizing products and cleaning high-touch surfaces every hour. They've also increased the space between seats in their lounges and cashier lines to maintain the safe 6-foot distance recommended by the CDC. Oh, and if you need parts, you can order them and pay for them online, and Arlington will deliver them for free until April 30th as well. The service, parts, and collision departments at Arlington Toyota are open, and they've adjusted their hours to best serve you. Get the latest updates or schedule your appointment at arlingtontoyota.com today. And most of all, stay well and know that Arlington is here for you. This is a CMG Open for Business report. During these changing times, it's challenging for businesses across North Florida, big and small, but businesses are adjusting to meet your needs in a safe and comfortable way. Here's today's list of businesses that are open for you. River Region Human Services, Denise Carroll Models, Anastasia Storage Center, Golden Coin Jacks, Jessica Ramsey Professional Housekeeping, Shaw Outdoor. If you're open for business, let us know by emailing us at openjax@cmg.com. Together, we're getting through this.
These can be unsettling times, but CGC Water Treatment wants you to know that they are there for you and your family. CGC Water Treatment has 50% savings for you. Purchase a Premier Softener and save 50% off a K5, Connecticut's premier reverse osmosis system. When the shelves at the stores are empty, it's a great feeling to have purified water right at home. Call 904-694-2242 or visit cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment, your local independent Connecticut dealer.
This is Dave Binion, owner of Zero Res. Here's some good news. Zero Res received some stimulus funding from the government. There are 3 things that I would like to do with this money. First, I want to help slow the spread of COVID-19 by making your home a cleaner, healthier, and safer place to live. Second, I want to keep our employees working so they can provide for their families and keep the economy running. Third, I want to help those in need. So here's my plan. Now through the end of April, Zero Res is offering 25% off all services. That's cleaning carpets, area rugs, tile and grout, upholstery, everything. This also includes stain protectant, pet urine treatments, ceiling grout, and granite countertops. 25% off everything. Also, we ask that you submit someone that you know that is in need. Zero Res will clean the carpets in the home of one family in need each day, absolutely free. Help Zero Res fight against the spread of COVID-19. Keep the economy going and help those in need. Give us a call at 287-5727. That's 287-5727. Zero Res, spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
This is a CMG Open for Business report. During these changing times, it's challenging for businesses across North Florida, big and small, but businesses are adjusting to meet your needs in a safe and comfortable way. Here's today's list of businesses that are open for you. Duval Fixtures, Spot Coolers Emergency AC, American Freight, Colony Hardware, All Uniform Wear, Rena's Pizza. If you're open for business, let us know by emailing us at openjax@cmg.com. Together, we're getting through this.
Hey everybody, this is Brent Martineau. Social distancing doesn't mean disconnecting. If you're working from home or just steering clear of coworkers, keep tabs on the world of sports and Action Sports Jax on your smart speaker. Tell your Amazon Echo or Google Home to play ESPN 690.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Coming from my perspective, I've never not played in a game that I've dressed out for. So this is going to be a little bit different for me. And honestly, whatever it is, I just want to win. I want the program to be, winners and be successful. And, whatever they're asking from me, I'm going to do it 100%, to the best of my abilities. And I'm all about winning football games.
That is Jake Fromm, taken by the Buffalo Bills, right, in the 5th round. I'm rooting for Fromm here a little bit. He's got a lot of haters. For a guy who had that much success at Georgia, for a guy who,
he's always been a front runner though, Brent. Like out of high school, he was the guy. Right?
I get it. Yeah, I get it. But here's what got me. I even said this to Ty. when we were watching the draft. Like, Eason goes in the 4th round, like a full round ahead of him. And I said, hey, see what measurables do? It's like when you can throw it like that, when you're 6 foot whatever, when you've got the build, that wins a team over. Fromm had a better career in college. He did bigger things. Yet, and I understand what you're saying. Like, a lot of people will say, well, there's a lot of quarterbacks and stuff with better careers. But these guys were pretty paralleled in terms of the middle rounds of the draft and where they would be. Yet, a full round ahead of Fromm goes Eason.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's wrong. I just think it's interesting. I think a lot of it has to do with the measurables more so than the resume. And that's part of what the draft is built on and the projections. But I think it's a great spot for Fromm, too, because it's no different than the situation he was in at Georgia or whatever, where he had to beat some of these guys out and earn the playing time and hold them off. I mean, he had to hold off 5 stars left and right at Georgia, and he did it in a good way. I think he's a bit underrated, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people don't like Fromm. I think he's a bit underrated going to the NFL. I don't know where he fits. What does that mean for him? But if he even gets a chance, obviously injury would have to happen or just a lot of failure for Josh Allen in Buffalo. I'm interested to follow those guys' careers, especially Eason and him, and how do they relate, and if they even get a chance.
It's a good point, because it's like I said, though, to me, Fromm was the guy to high school. Like, you expected him to, win national championships, win Heisman trophies. So I think from especially being in the Jacksonville area, Brent, people are Georgia fans. I think they're disappointed in the fact that, yes, he was a great quarterback, but he didn't put Georgia over the hump like I think a lot of people thought. So I think that's why some of the animosity stemmed towards a little bit. But, it'll be interesting to see with Fromm, because, like I said, he has been a front runner. He had decent numbers in college. Goes to a situation right now in Buffalo where obviously they consider Josh Allen the man going forward. And it's not a knock on Josh Allen, because I actually like the Buffalo Bills a lot this season. I've been very adamant about that. But one can wonder just how talented, how great is Josh Allen going forward, right? Because this is a guy who relies more on his legs right now than his arm. And we've seen what happens with that, with guys like Cam Newton with injuries and stuff. So I agree with you. I think Fromm's in a pretty solid spot right now in Buffalo.
It'll be interesting to see. Again, you want to do that with all the players. It's like, okay, how does this guy's career work versus this guy's career? I think an interesting one right now is, say, in the division with the Colts. Colts loved Pittman. Jaguars got Chenault. Jaguars had the ammunition if they wanted to jump up ahead and probably get Pittman. They didn't. They could have taken Taylor. They could have jumped up ahead, or taken and moved up, sense that the Colts might want him or whatever. Those kind of guys, I think Pittman and Chenault are interesting because how does that play out versus your divisional opponent? Who has the better core? Heck, even a Colin Johnson versus some of those guys who more is that body size, that body type, the Claypools, the Pittmans, and everyone else. That being said, where are the Jags depth-wise? A lot of people don't think they have a good roster. Well, part of your roster is having depth. The NFL is tough to have a ton of depth in. You have 53 guys. The salary cap dictates that 8 or 10 of those guys are making a chunk of the money. And so you have to take some flyers on players. You can't have this loaded roster. Now, some teams are able to do it. They draft really well. They have a nice mix of young and old. They get a little bit more out of a guy than you expected. I'm not saying it's impossible. Just saying it's unusual to have great depth all around. But if you look at the Jaguars, one, how is their depth? And two, where do they need more of it?
Yeah.
Most.
Obviously, I'm going to go with running back off the get-go, okay?
It's a great starting point.
Yeah. I get the coaches love Rock Armstead. I make the argument to say, you know what, he could be good. Let's see what he has. But right now, the sample size, I haven't seen enough. So I really have no idea what to think of the guy. So I can't feel supremely confident with that. I think other areas, it needs of depth. Obviously, the tight end position, right? Because if you lose Eifert, which, let's be honest here, knock on wood, Tyler Eifert, he's suffered some injuries. If you lose him, then what's your tight end room looking like? Now you have Josh Oliver, who has never played a full season yet, and you have guys like James O'Shaughnessy. Like, you can't feel really confident. So I think tight end depth is an issue. I can sit here and nitpick offensive line as well, but
I think left tackle, right?
Left tackle, yeah. it's there. But I feel like every team's got has offensive tackle issues or like some kind of offensive lineman issues. So it's
hard to get 5. Forget about 7.
Exactly.
And by the way, the Jags were pretty comfortable with a couple of those guys. Tyler Shatley and Will Richardson have played a lot of football for them.
Yeah.
And so they're at least comfortable with what they know. I'm not telling you they're Pro Bowlers.
Yeah.
But if you're a coach sleeping at night, you're like, oh, I'm not sure who are these other guys?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you. Like Ryan Pope. And
looking at this, I would say fullback. You have one fullback, and that's great. So the fullback depth is okay. That's more just a joke saying they actually have a fullback for once. Yeah, besides that, I mean, you can make an argument for corner. I don't mean like nickel, but I'm just saying cornerback depth. If Henderson, knock on wood, once again goes down, or even Herndon, what are your plans back there? But overall, I think you have to focus on tight end, running back, and possibly offensive line.
It's interesting, right? In Jacksonville, if you go back to, I don't know what year you want to go back. Let's just go back to, say, 2005. I always use 2005 because I think Jimmy Smith was the last one prior to Allen Robinson and now DJ Chark to get in 1,000 yards. Mm-hmm. And, did Hearns have the 1,000? I think he got to 1,000 yards too. But the Jags had gone like almost 10 years, almost a decade without a 1,000-yard wide receiver. So they had never been able to replace wide receiver. Now, Justin Blackmon looked like a good player, but then the Justin Blackmon stuff happened. Well, I do think one thing you got to give Caldwell a little bit credit for is he's been able to replace positions that looked irreplaceable at times. Not all of them, but some. Receiver was one. Well, since then, Hearns and Robinson formed a nice duo, and you could throw Marquise in there. I know he didn't live up to it the way other people have said, but still, just say Allen and Allen. It was a pretty good dynamic for a bit. Now DJ Chark, been able to find someone. You look at their receiving room, and you don't mind their depth. You really don't. Chris Conley, what he's been able to do, what he brings to the table. Now Chenault in there, even the size of a Colin Johnson adding to that room. They've got a lot of bodies in there that you don't mind. I think Keenan McCardell likes that group.
Yep.
I would say Jay Gruden probably likes that group. Is it the best group in the league? No, absolutely not. Could you get better? Could you have Tampa's top 2 guys? Absolutely, you could. But you get my point. They've replaced a position in terms of depth that they hardly had one guy at times in the past, and they've done a decent job of it. I think another spot for that, to Caldwell's credit, really, is pass rusher. This is if you look at the franchise history, not just like a last 10 years, whatever, their pass rushing unit, very mediocre. I mean,
preach it, Brent. I'm sitting right here. Let's hear about it. No, I'm kidding, dude. It's all good.
But it goes all the way back to even when the Jags were good.
Yep.
It's not like they had Reggie White.
Correct.
Yeah.
They
didn't have Lawrence Taylor. They didn't have those guys from Lagemans to everyone. Good players, but not greatness at that position. Mm-hmm. Well, in the last handful of years, obviously, Saxonville became Saxonville because of Calais Campbell and because of Yannick Ngakoue and because of even the Dante Fowler in that group. And now they've handed off to Josh Allen, and you bring in Chase. I know we don't know what he's going to be, but I would just say right now you look at that room and the pass rushers only, like we said, Allen, Ngakoue, and Chase on, and you absolutely love it.
Listen, absolutely. And I'll make an argument to say in the early 2010s, I'm sure they're good at stopping the run, though, more than rushing the passer. Check the numbers on Pro Football Focus. No, you didn't have a number 92 in Reggie White, but you had a number 92, another person who could stop the run very well. Check the numbers once again on Pro Football Focus. Check the numbers. But no, Brent, you made a great point in saying that in terms of depth, pass rushing is always a necessity, right? Where I'm going to make the argument coming after that 2017 season, what did the Jaguars do? They drafted Telvin Bryan. It was a luxury pick. It was a depth pick. One could say it was a depth pick for pass rushing, right? Anytime you get a defensive lineman, especially that high, he has to be able to rush the passer unless he's like the stud nose tackle. Telvin Bryan wasn't that. So I agree with you in saying that the way they sit right now, and once again, we'll see what happens with Yannick Ngakoue. There's still that whole saga left to unfold before our eyes. Can't wait to see it happen. But if he does indeed play, then you have a luxury of depth that a lot of teams do not have. And it is something to be said for depth, especially along defensive ends and pass rushers, because you look at successful teams who've done it in the past, Brent, that's one thing they pretty much all have in common.
Yeah, I think, by the way, I say this stuff about pass rushing now, and I don't even blink my eye anymore. Like, I'm not even really trying to involve you in the conversation.
Oh, no, you're good,
and
man.
It just kind of sideways happens.
You're all good.
But
like I said, check the numbers when it comes to stopping the run. You're not getting paid for that. But.
Asterisk on every team for offensive line. So let's take them out because nobody has great depth at offensive line. Mm-hmm. Nobody. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. They don't. So take them aside. I think the Jaguars running back, you're right on the money.
Mm-hmm.
I think secondary, you're on the money. I will also say the Jaguars maybe have more now linebacker depth than in recent years that I feel good about. I mean, they spent a 4th-round pick on Quarterman to give him some depth. Schobert and Miles Jack. McCray can even play the spot. And depending on if they go 3-4, you could then qualify in Ngakwe and Josh Allen and Chase on into the linebacking group.
Yeah.
So it feels a little bit better than it's been, and that's been a nice one. And by the way, Quincy Williams, who played a decent amount of football, was a 3rd-round pick last year.
It's crazy how we just all forgot about him, too.
And we have.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could really make the case that they have more linebacking depth than they've had since Caldwell arrived.
Let me ask this real quick, and we'll get back to the depth part. Quincy Williams, okay? Guy who obviously the Jaguars saw something in to draft him that high. Didn't have a great season last year. Assuming that there's more of a 3-4 look, do you move Quincy to safety or do you move him to middle linebacker? I mean, and listen, there's no right answer. I'm just asking, what do you think? Like, what? I don't know.
I just don't see him. It's funny. I get what you're saying. And I never really think about it that way in terms of strong safety.
I mean, the way I look at it is...
But he doesn't look like... His body doesn't look like that. His body looks like a linebacker. He's not a big guy, but he's a broad guy. The way a linebacker's built.
No, for sure. I just think from, like we talk about the depth right now, I think the depth at inside linebacker... it might be hard for him to kind of find a calling there.
It's a good call.
While the depth at safety might be a little more open for
That's
him.
a really good call because actually I was going to put second. So you had said running back. I said, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Secondly, I would go secondary. Yeah. And really the safety jumps out at me more than the corner. They've invested in the corner spot now in this draft. I mean, C.J. Henderson with a top 10 pick. They already like DJ Hayden. And then they brought other bodies in. I know it's unproven, so I'm not disagreeing with you at corner. But I think safety is actually... What if one of those guys go down? Who's playing?
Exactly.
I mean, do you have Daniel Thomas out of Auburn? Now it becomes that guy?
Yeah.
I don't know if I trust that. So I think safety is really high on that list. It brings us around to really what I wanted to get to. You mentioned the tight end room.
Yeah.
The Jaguars actually on paper look okay at tight end. They look way better than I feel they did last year or even maybe a couple years ago at tight end. I understand the reservations, though. That is the health of Tyler Eifert, the what if of Josh Oliver. Fair enough, no doubt. So Bill Barnwell and ESPN did this recent experiment. What is it? 32 players most likely to be cut or traded after the draft. So one of each team. If I go down each team, by the way, the Jags was Keelan Cole. And this will tell you how off this could be because Indianapolis was Marlon Mack, and they are not cutting Marlon Mack. They want the 1-2 punch. But,
yeah, for sure.
Andy Dalton was on this list for Cincinnati, just happened today.
Okay, called that one.
That was a pretty easy one. The Cincinnati beat writer had an easy time doing this.
Got any more brain busted? Before we get to the list, who would you say?
For who? The Jaguars? I didn't really think about it in that context. I didn't think Keelan Cole was a bad one.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to get traded, but he could certainly be cut given the fact that they drafted two guys and he was an undrafted free agent and he was maybe on the outside looking in anyway.
Okay.
I wonder, though, a little bit, depending on how they want to do what you answered earlier, that rotation, could Avery Jones be in trouble still?
Yeah.
Depending on how they want to utilize that. It's like $4 million, I think it is.
Yeah.
So would he be somewhat dangerous? I don't think he is. I'm not advocating for it. But if you're putting it in that context, I wonder about it.
Okay.
Do you have enough bodies on the defensive line? Because remember, they still have the other kid that was picked in the 7th round last year, the big body.
Oh, guy from Auburn.
Yeah, why can't I think of him? Hold on, I'll get to him. Dontavius Russell.
Thank you. Yeah, good call. So, and Doug Marone's didn't he sing his praise a little bit, saying he's a hard guy to move?
I mean,
of course, you're a nose tackle. So
I mean, do I think Avery Jones is better? Yes. Do you need some veteran experience? Yeah, I don't think Avery Jones is going anywhere. I just, in that context, you could put it.
Okay.
All right, so there were a couple of tight ends, though. Here's my point. Luke Wilson was one for Seattle.
Yeah.
The other one, Cameron Brate for Tampa, was on this list.
Okay.
And my guy from Ashland University, Adam Shaheen, because they have 10 tight ends on the roster in Chicago. And I don't think that's hyperbole. I think they really have 10 tight ends on the roster.
And they just got rid of Trey Burton as well. Man, yeah, it is. It's like, Philly's trying to be the quarterback factory. Chicago's trying to be the mediocre tight end factory, I guess.
DeFilippo and Foles are like, you ain't leaving me with an empty tight end room like you did in Jacksonville.
For sure.
Give me everybody you got. So would any of those guys would they go get more depth, I guess is my point.
Shaheen's intriguing, not just because he's your guy from where you went to school.
He's a second-round pick.
Well, and that's the thing, right? He's a second-round pick. Obviously, they had optimism for Shaheen when they drafted him. I'll be honest, though, man. Like, I get he hasn't performed at all, but name me really one guy besides Allen Robinson who's really performed in that Bears offense. Like, the Bears offense is not a machine that just takes out people, okay? They've struggled the past couple seasons. And they have a guy throwing the rock in Mitch Trubisky who, all things considered, could very well be a bust after the end of the season.
Yeah. Well,
so,
it might not even make it to the season.
Nick Foles says what's up. So with that being said, I mean, I think Shaheen's at least I got to take a look at from the standpoint of I don't think you really know what you got with him because he wasn't really showcased at all in Chicago.
I think the Jags actually liked him a little bit coming out, too. They might have just been appeasing me and telling me that, though.
Yeah.
Because he's an Ashland University guy.
Feel good, yeah.
Hey, we have Submarine Mike on the line. Action Sports Shacks on ESPN 691 to jump in, I think, on some of the sports being announced. What's up, man?
Hey, man, I'm so excited NASCAR's back. Here's some cool things that they've announced that they're doing. For one, and within the garage, they're going to spread things out because they're only going to have one series there at a time, unlike normal race weekends where both the Xfinity and the Cup Series are there and it's jam-packed. They're separating the driver, their coaches, and they're going to self-isolate between practices or races and all that kind of stuff. They're going to spread the spotters out. They're going to put arrows down within the garage, kind of like we're doing at the grocery stores. And the crews are going to wear cloth masks underneath the protective helmets they're wearing on top of that. And they're not going to take up anybody's tests because other people need them more, but they are going to do the symptom checks and have medical facilities. They would already have medical people on staff anyway, and so I'm just excited the way they're going to do it. The tracks they're going to go at Darlington. If you've not seen a Darlington race, folks, and this is going to be your first race because you're dying for some sort of live sports, you're in for a treat. It's the only track with two different nicknames. The Track Too Tough to Tame and the Lady in Black. And there's a reason for that because it is a tough race and puts on great racing. Cars coming from the back to the front to the back because you hit the setup wrong. And it's tough to pass in turns 1 and 2. So really looking forward to it. Looking forward to being able to just to have something to watch besides Netflix and Hulu and,
I hear you, man.
Kind of stuff.
And CBS 47 and Fox 30. I get you. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for listening, and thanks for hanging on the line. You'll be like our NASCAR minute right there with Submarine Mike. He was pretty good right there.
Yeah, Stuart Weber, step your game up, man.
That's right, Weber.
Submarine Mike's coming
where
for
you been in quarantine here. Yeah. Forgot the number of the show.
Can I just say, it's completely off topic. Can I just say one thing before we leave here because we're getting ready to...
Yeah, let me, before you go way off topic, Submarine Mike might be on a point, and all the things that NASCAR did there, and maybe even, again, MMA, I think golf will be one of the leaders on this. What they do could be very important in terms of setting the parameters for what other sports will do when they open up. So all those things that Submarine Mike just mentioned, I think it'll be interesting to see how much it works, how people are comfortable with it, how it could become a new norm, at least in the interim, to at least be an example for other sports to use and grow from and evolve over these next few months. So thanks for sharing that. Go ahead. What you got off topic?
Quick.
I like off topic.
Well, it's not really off topic. It's actually on the topic of depth chart a little bit. So, obviously when you brought up the question, I was doing a little research on the Jaguars depth chart. And you know what's crazy, man? For my 32 years of existence, I've never met anybody that had the same first name as me the way it's spelled, A-U-S-T-E-N, correct? I've met people that had the last name A-U-S-T-E-N. Never have. Really? There's shout out to Jane Austen, little Pride and Prejudice. Like her last name, the author, it's A-U-S-T-E-N. I met a kid from Canada who has the last name A-U-S-T-E-N. But the Jacksonville Jaguars have signed a guy from Ohio, offensive tackle, by the name of Austin Pleasants, plural, and he spells his name A-U-S-T-E-N. My mind is blown right now.
Who's the former offensive tackle? Begins with a P, played for the Chicago Bears. Well, Austin
Pastor.
Pastor. He didn't spell it E-N?
No, it's I-N. Brent, I was his teammate. I should know how his name's spelled.
Just double checking.
Go ahead and call me out. Go ahead and Google it. Go ahead and not believe me when I just sat here and said he's my teammate. Go ahead and go against my wills. And how do you spell it?
I-N.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was I his teammate? Did I not say that?
Wait a minute, Coos. If we're going off what his teammate is, go ahead.
What's up?
Give me a Paul Posluszny name.
Puz, man. You talking about Puz?
Still can't say Posluszny. He played with him.
Posluszny. Right there. Whatever, dude. It's Puz. Okay? He doesn't care.
But it's Austin with an I.
You better believe it, man. You better believe it. I did my due diligence.
Pastor.
Is he still playing? Chicago, huh? He was in Tennessee for a while.
He played in Canada.
Oh, you want to talk about interesting cat? Austin Pastor is one of those interesting cats.
He is.
Yes.
He's a good guy.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Yep. But I-N, yes. So, Austin Pleasance, it says you're number 0 right now for your depth chart. You don't have a number yet, but when you get it, I'll be there to cheer you on, man.
All right. Check us out on TV, Action Sports Jackson, CBS 47 and Fox 30. We'll be back tomorrow to wrap up a week. And by the way, get ready, Bold City Brigade. We're bringing in the brigade tomorrow. Oh, you can't wait for tomorrow's show. It's going to be a little different now. It's on ESPN 690.
See, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
You like money. I suggest you get your voice looked at.
It's allergy season.
It seems to be always allergy season, Stugatz.
That's because it is. The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.